Chapter 2477 Problems with Exercises. Big cousin, don't go, you're here, what are you doing in such a hurry? Yang Kai suddenly opened his mouth and yelled at where Wu Mengchuan was, enthusiasm. Wu Mengchuan staggered and almost fell from midair. He hurriedly wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and said angrily, "Who is your big cousin?" Yang Kai said in a low voice, "Big cousin, you are too mean. When you meet my cousin here, you have to pretend that you don't know me. I will tell your mother later, be careful that she beats you." Wu Mengchuan was in a hurry, and said, "Don't talk nonsense, kid. Is he your big cousin?" The young man in strong clothes looked at Yang Kai strangely, and said, "Why doesn't he look like that?" Yang Kai Dao, "He is like this." While speaking, he looked up at Wu Mengchuan and said, "Big cousin, someone here wants to bully my cousin, should you stand up for me or something?" Wu Mengchuan said with a dark face, "Boy, if you talk nonsense again, be careful that I will not be polite to you." Yang Kai suddenly said angrily, "Everyone has to be rude to me, I am so easy to bully. Believe it or not, your mother who I am going to beat up now does not know you." Seeing Yang Kai open his mouth to your mother and shut his mouth to your mother, Wu Mengchuan was so angry that his whole body was smoking, but he didn't dare to act recklessly in the bottom 5 Emperor Senior realm, he just sneered and said, "Come here if you have the guts to see who beat who." "You wait." After Yang Kai said a word, he immediately flew up, and in midair, he blasted fist shadows towards Wu Mengchuan. "The boy is so brave." Wu Mengchuan was furious. Although he was afraid of the 5 Emperor Senior stages below, it didn't mean he was afraid of Yang Kai. When he saw Yang Kai coming up, he shot unceremoniously, and immediately fought back. But he couldn't figure out what the relationship between Yang Kai and the following 5 people was, so he didn't dare to kill him, but there was an attack in defense. 50% of the power was used. All of a sudden, there was a rumbling sound in midair, and the 2 fists and feet clashed, and the fight was exhilarating. Although the scene looked lively, neither of them showed their real skills. Suddenly, Yang Kai quietly gave Wu Mengchuan a wink. Although Wu Mengchuan didn't know what Yang Kai meant, but he had lived for so many years anyway, he was old and mature, and he was more or less understanding. While fighting with Yang Kai, he cooperated with Yang Kai to quickly move the battlefield outside. It didn't take a moment for the 2 of them to move away from the sight of the 5 emperors, and after a while, they couldn't even detect them with their divine sense. HMPH. Yao Si snorted coldly. With a cold face, he turned around and flew towards his original location. Although Yang Kai had annoyed him a little earlier, but now that Yang Kai is fighting with others, it is not convenient for him to chase or kill, so he can only ignore it. Kai Gui looked at the direction where Yang Kai disappeared, and smiled softly. This kid, he found a good step for himself. The well-dressed young man nodded and said, "That person is probably the helper he called. Let's play a show together so that we can leave here." Impermanence didn't say anything though. But obviously I also feel the same way. Don't look at Yang Kai's tough attitude just now, he was also clamoring fiercely, and he looked like he didn't put anyone in his eyes, but in the end he was just a source of Tao, and he really started to fight with Yao Si. There must be no way out. This is fine now. Fighting and walking with the so-called big cousin, Yao Si can't do anything to him because of his status. It's just so scheming, so as not to make people look down upon. Soon, the 5 emperors who gathered here dispersed separately, but it was strange to say. In the following days, they did not experience any significant reduction in their original power. This made them more and more convinced that the previous anomaly was caused by Yang Kai. I don't know how many miles away from the original sea, on a broken star, the 2 stood in the sky, looking at each other. A man was tall and strong, with burning eyes, as if a hungry wolf had seen its prey. Standing alone against the wind, with fluttering clothes, and bright eyes, as bright as stars. These 2 people are Wu Mengchuan and Yang Kai. They retreated from the origin sea all the way, tacitly knowing each other, each with their own ghosts, and came to this uninhabited star together. I really didn't expect you to be able to cultivate to the 3rd level of Daoyuan in such a short time. Wu Mengchuan looked at Yang Kai in surprise, with a little excitement, said, "This seat has taught you the cultivation technique, and you can still cultivate it. Not bad, is it?" He thought that Yang Kai's ability to possess this level of cultivation in such a short period of time was due to the heaven-devouring art of fighting. After all, the heaven-devouring art of fighting is really against the sky. As long as he can withstand the backlash of the divine skill, it is extremely easy to increase his cultivation things. This young man is talented and intelligent, and his appearance and wisdom have half a cent to do with your shit. Yang Kai pouted. Wu Mingchuan chuckled, and said, I have been your suzerain anyway, and I have saved your life, so you talk to me like this. Yang Kai said with a sullen face, if I remember correctly, it was this young master who saved your life. Wu Mingchuan said, even if it is, but I told you about your miraculous skills, do you want to deny it? Yang Kai heard the words, and suddenly said angrily, you have the nerve to mention that. I have a question about the bullshit technique. What? Wu Mingchuan raised his eyebrows. Is the exercise you taught me incomplete? Wu Mingchuan's eyes lit up immediately, his breathing became rapid, and he said in a low voice, you really have practiced magic skills. He had the expression of a pervert seeing a naked beauty, and his eyes shone brightly, making Yang Kai get goosebumps all over his body. Yang Kai said impatiently, cultivate or not, what does it have to do with you? Wu Mingchuan smiled slightly, and said, if you haven't cultivated, how can you be aware of this problem? Yang Kai said with a dark face, that skill is indeed incomplete, you are so despicable, this young master took great risks to release you from the bone prison, and gave you freedom, you don't know how to be grateful, it's nothing more than a picture report, but you still taught me a broken exercise, where is the conscience of the world, where is the justice, damn it, it's only my fault that I was too naive back then, and believed in you, a thief. He cursed bitterly, beat his chest and stomped his feet, with a look of remorse, and almost bought some regret medicine to eat. Wu Mingchuan had a cheerful smile on his face, and he waited until he finished cursing before saying, the exercises I passed on to you are not incomplete, but complete exercises. Fart. Seeing that he still didn't admit it, Yang Kai spit at him. Wu Mingchuan dodged easily, and said calmly, don't be so rude, kid, didn't your adults teach you to respect the old and love the young? I'm sorry, I'm born like this. Yang Kai said with a rebellious face. Wu Mingchuan snorted and said, I don't have the same knowledge as you, but about that exercise, would you like to listen to me explain it to you? Let go. Yang Kai looked at him coldly. Wu Mingchuan didn't care either, and said indifferently, back then, our ancestors created the extraordinary feat of the heaven-devouring art of war, achieved the body of the great emperor, ascended to the heavens and entered the earth, and I am the only one who is the only one. In the universe, there is no one invincible. It is a pity that in the end Mu Shuyu Lin, being jealous of other great emperors and joining forces to kill them, God is really jealous of talents, God has no eyes. Yang Kai sneered and said, how come the version I heard is not the same as what you said? Wu Mingchuan glared at him, and said, do you still want to listen? If you don't want to listen, I won't talk about it. Yang Kai shrugged his shoulders, stretched out his hand and pulled it on his mouth, making a suture gesture, motioning him to continue. Wu Mingchuan snorted unhappily, and continued, when the ancestor created the heaven-devouring art of war, he already noticed a huge loophole in this art. Guess what it is? Yang Kai pointed to his mouth, a few times, but did not speak. Wu Mingchuan said helplessly, although the divine skill is against the sky, it harms the harmony of the sky and violates human nature, so the power of backlash is extremely strong. Unless someone with great perseverance can practice and bear the power of backlash, it will not take long bewitched, burned to death. Yang Kai's heart moved when he heard it, knowing that Wu Mingchuan's words were true. Because Dharma Body had raised this question before, but because Dharma Body was the body of a stone puppet, it was born capable of refining and expelling all kinds of impurities, so this shortcoming of the heaven-devouring warfare did not have much impact on him. Besides, when the magic skill reaches a certain limit, there will be a bottleneck, and if you don't break through this bottleneck, you will never be able to be promoted. Wu Mingchuan said here, his face became serious, and he stared at Yang Kai and said, and this bottleneck is the third level of Daoyuan, which is why you and I cannot break through Emperor Zun. Yang Kaixin thought that it was not because of the heaven-devouring art that he did not break through, but he was willing to listen, because he felt that Wu Mingchuan would tell him the solution to this problem next. This guy seems to feel that he is determined, so now he is chattering and has a strong confession. Sure enough, Wu Mingchuan said, in order to solve this problem, the ancestor came up with an ingenious way, let another person also practice the heaven-devouring art, and when this person reaches the bottleneck of the third level of Daoyuan, swallow him, you can break through the bottleneck in one fell swoop and be promoted to Emperor Zun. His tone gradually became excited, his complexion became rosy, and he said excitedly, the ancestors are truly extraordinary talents, and we are not as good as them. Yang Kai said with a look of shock, So, you taught me the heaven-devouring battle technique back then, and the ultimate goal was to devour me. Wu Mengchuan grinned, showing his white fangs, and said, naturally, or else you think that as an ancestor and descendant, I will easily spread the magic power to the outside world. Despicable, shameless, Yang Kai said angrily. Wu Mengchuan snorted coldly and said, you are not the only one who teaches this seat. Over the past few hundred years, this seat has searched for hundreds of qualified warriors and taught them the heaven-devouring art of war. You are the only one at the 3rd level. As for the others, they are already dead. He paused for a moment, and said, the magical skill that I passed on to you is not incomplete, it's just a copy. Copy. Yang Kai frowned. That's right, the heaven-devouring battle technique created by our ancestors is divided into 2 types, master and deputy. The master is the master of my cultivation, and the copy is passed on to you. To be continued. Chapter 2478 How Can You Die Easily? High-speed full-text online reading. You really played a big game of chess. Yang Kai was slightly shocked. He didn't expect that Wu Mengchuan would teach many people the sky-devouring art, but other people who practiced the sky-devouring art were all rejected. Backlash is dead. After all, not everyone has a body like the Dharma body. He secretly rejoiced that he resisted the temptation back then and did not practice the heaven-devouring art, otherwise he might not even know how he died. Although he has good perseverance, but the heaven devourer's combat method is too weird. Wu Mengchuan's ability to cultivate to the 3rd level of Daoyuan is by no means as simple as perseverance. Perhaps the heaven devourer great emperor left some training. It is also possible that his experience can be used as a reference for him. If we can reappear the glory of our ancestors, what's the point of waiting for hundreds of years? Wu Mengchuan shouted loudly, his body trembling. Yang Kai said with an ugly face, I would like to ask, what is the difference between the main copy and the copy? Hey, basically the 2 are almost the same, but there are naturally some differences. The martial artist who cultivates the dungeon is just a seed. Once he reaches the peak of the 3rd level of Daoyuan, the seed is mature and can be cultivated by the master. Swallow it, so that you can be promoted to emperor. Moreover, if the seeds are mature, the person who cultivates the main book can sense the other party from a very far away. Wu Mengchuan's tone gradually became excited. Yang Kai suddenly said, no wonder you can find me in the Sea of Broken Stars, you can sense it originally. Earlier in the original sea, he also released the Dharma body, and it was probably at that time that Wu Mengchuan sensed it. Wu Mengchuan raised his arms and shouted, for today, I have waited for hundreds of years, and finally let me guard the clouds and see the moon. Yang Kai nodded. He also asked all the questions. He also understood what he should understand. The reason why the Dharma body can't break through the bottleneck is that it is really a problem with the skills, but the skills are not incomplete, but just like this. He pondered for a moment. Said, what if the person who cultivated the dungeon devoured the person who cultivated the master copy? Wu Mengchuan was taken aback when he heard the words, but he soon understood what Yang Kai meant, and said with a smile, the young man is very ambitious, very good. With your aptitude, if you don't practice magical skills, you will definitely be able to succeed in the future. Great climate, unfortunately, now it is just a stepping stone for my promotion. You haven't answered my question yet. Yang Kai looked at him with a heavy face. Wu Mengchuan snorted. If you can really devour this seat, then you should be promoted naturally. What's the point of asking? That's it. Yang Kai nodded in satisfaction, this is the best. What else do you want to ask, kid? Wu Mengchuan snorted. Ask together and then go on the road. This seat can't wait. No more. Yang Kai grinned at him. That treacherous smile made Wu Mengchuan startled. He gritted his teeth and said, playing tricks. While speaking, the source power in his body suddenly swelled up, as if he was about to attack Yang Kai. Slow. Yang Kai raised his hand suddenly. What more to do? Wu Mengchuan couldn't bear to drink. Yang Kai looked at him strangely and smiled. Why don't you ask why you can't feel the mature seeds now? Wu Mengchuan looked stunned, thinking he was right. He was still wondering why he couldn't sense the fluctuation of the mature seeds before, but he was asked this and that by Yang Kai, but he forgot. When he was reminded by Yang Kai now, he suddenly remembered it again. He hurriedly said, why? Hey, Yang Kai grinned, spread his hands, and said, because, this young master didn't practice the heaven-devouring battle technique at all. What? Wu Mengchuan turned pale with shock, not practicing. Impossible. If Yang Kai didn't practice the heaven-devouring battle technique, How did he get promoted to the level of Daoyuan third layer in such a short period of time? And looking at Yang Kai's expression and aura, it seems that the promotion time is not short. His cultivation base is extremely thick. If Yang Kai hadn't practiced the heaven-devouring battle technique, how would he explain the fluctuation of the seeds he sensed earlier? He obviously flew away quickly after sensing the fluctuation. Then I saw Yang Kai's. Yang Kai condensedly said, "There are other people who practice the heaven-devouring battle technique." Who? Wu Mengchuan narrowed his eyes. Yang Kai waved his hand, and a huge figure suddenly descended from the sky. That huge figure covered all the light in the sky, brought a shadow, and covered the huge ground, and after falling to the ground trembled slightly. Wu Mengchuan opened his mouth wide, looked up at the existence like a hill, only felt a feeling of suffocation hit his face, unable to breathe for a long time. And when this hill-like existence appeared, the disappearing feeling reappeared. But this time, Wu Mengchuan sensed clearly that the fluctuation was not from Yang Kai, but from this monster. Looking carefully, Wu Mengchuan couldn't help but gasp. This huge monster has hands and feet, and is covered with thick rock armor. It looks like a huge stone man, but this stone man has a pair of smart eyes, which keep turning around, and this stone man has a pair of eyes. He was also holding a pitch-black warhammer wrapped in pitch black, and there was an extremely uncomfortable aura pervading the warhammer. Magic soldiers. Wu Mengchuan's eyes widened at once, and he stared at the warhammer absent-mindedly. He was so shocked that he couldn't believe his eyes. This is a magic soldier, a real magic soldier. Are there still magic soldiers in the world today? Shouldn't this thing have disappeared long ago? Are those ancient giant demons still extinct? Did you hear what this guy said just now? Yang Kai pointed at Wu Mengchuan and asked. The Dharma body waved the magic soldier's warhammer in his hand, and said in a buzzing voice, "I can hear it very clearly. Swallow him up, and you can break through the current bottleneck." Yang Kai smiled softly. Dharma body also smiled, very hearty, "I can't wait." While speaking, he took a step forward. Rumbling. A loud sound came out, and the solid ground was stepped on by a huge footprint. What the hell? Wu Mengchuan finally came back to his senses, and couldn't help shouting, "Where did you get it from? It is impossible for such a big monster to be taken out of the space ring." He only saw Yang Kai wave his hand, and this thing appeared on the stage. Moreover, Wu Mengchuan didn't know if this thing was a living thing. He was said to be a dead thing, but he could still talk and communicate. He was said to be a living thing, but he didn't have any life fluctuations. After living for so many years, Wu Mengchuan never thought that he could gain some insight today. "You don't care where I got it from, just accept death obediently. If you don't resist, I can give you a good time. If you resist, hee." Yang Kai stood aside and sneered. "Let me die." Wu Mengchuan's eyes turned violent, and he said angrily, "I'm afraid you haven't figured out the situation, kid. Who dares to be presumptuous in front of me?" Speaking of this, he suddenly raised his hand, aimed at the Dharma body, and shouted loudly, "Switch the sky, devour it for me." A miraculous force suddenly spread, enveloping the Dharma body as if it was about to devour everything. The huge body of the Dharma body staggered and fell to his knees all of a sudden, with pain on his face, and a wailing sound from his mouth. Yang Kai's face changed greatly, and he whispered, "What's the situation?" He knows exactly how strong the Dharma body is. The Stone Puppet clan has a naturally strong body. Over the years, the Dharma body has refined countless treasures. Holding a magic soldier's hammer, he can fight even in the Emperor Prestige realm. Fighting, if it wasn't too big and inconvenient to move, Yang Kai wouldn't often hide him in the snow. But now, such a powerful Dharma body was knocked to the ground by Wu Mengchuan in one face-to-face, and it seemed that he had no power to fight back. How could Yang Kai not be shocked? How can this old thing be so powerful? Yang Kai was also dumbfounded. "I'm going to die, I'm going to die." The law body wailed and yelled, appearing to be in extreme pain. "The power has been swallowed up." Ha 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 ha. Wu Mengchuan laughed frantically, his eyes were crazy, and he shouted, "You dare to be rampant in front of me, and watch me swallow you up." Visible to the naked eye, strands of pure energy overflowed from Dharmakaya and was sucked into Wu Mengchuan's body, and Wu Mengchuan's whole face also became rosy, as if he had been greatly nourished. Cultivation method suppression. Yang Kai's face sank. He suddenly thought of something. He didn't dare to let the law body stay outside, and waved him back to mysterious Shaoji. Wu Mengchuan over there was devouring it with exhilaration, but suddenly the source of power disappeared, and looking around, the Dharma body also disappeared without a trace. His face suddenly became gloomy, and he gritted his teeth and said, "What about that thing? Release it quickly, or I will tell you to live or die." Yang Kai looked at him coldly, and snorted. The old dog is easy to calculate, there is a natural suppression between the master and copy exercises. Wu Mengchuan said with a sullen face, "So what?" Yang Kai clicked his tongue and said, "If this is the case, no matter how strong the martial artist who has cultivated the dungeon is, it is just a dish in front of you. Don't be too long-winded, kid, let that thing out quickly. After I'm promoted to Emperor Senior, I may not be able to support you a little bit." Wu Mengchuan couldn't bear to drink, seeing that the opportunity to be promoted to Emperor Senior was right in front of him, but Yang Kai, how could Wu Mengchuan not be in a hurry to hide this opportunity? He didn't even know how Yang Kai summoned that thing back. If he had to figure it out, he would have attacked Yang Kai immediately and would not have negotiated any conditions with him. Yang Kai snorted. The Heaven Devourer was a strong man who was ruthless, slaughtered creatures, devoured the stars, collapsed the star field, provoked the anger of the heavens and the people, and finally killed the emperors. Wu Mengchuan, do you think that even if you can be promoted to Emperor Zun, you can how? It is nothing more than following in the footsteps of your ancestors. Fart. Wu Mengchuan's eyes were red, and he shouted angrily, the emperors are just narrow-minded people. They are jealous of the ancestors' strength and set up traps. Unfortunately, they are still hurt by the ancestors. How can a person as powerful as the ancestors do that? Die easily. Speaking of this, Wu Mengchuan suddenly closed his mouth, and his excitement seemed to calm down a little. To be continued. Chapter 2479 All Things. Yang Kai suddenly widened his eyes, looked at him in horror, and said in a trembling voice, what do you mean? You don't want to say that the Lord isn't dead yet? Wu Mengchuan knew that he had made a slip of the tongue when he was emotionally agitated just now, but he just looked at Yang Kai coldly with a murderous look on his face. A chill suddenly struck from the soles of his feet, causing Yang Kai to shiver uncontrollably. The Great Heaven Devourer, that is a legend, but this legend was killed by all the emperors in the Sea of Broken Stars, and his soul was completely wiped out. But now, Wu Mengchuan revealed some unusual information. If someone else said that, Yang Kai might not take it seriously, but Wu Mengchuan is a descendant of Emperor Tianzhu, so what he said has some basis. If Emperor Tianzhu hadn't died, then all of this would be too crazy. After tens of thousands of years of dormancy and forbearance, what the hell is the Heaven Devourer doing? And for what? Yang Kai swallowed a mouthful of saliva. I thought you were a talent to make, and I don't want to kill you easily, but now it seems that you must die. Wu Mengchuan shouted in a low voice, suddenly clenched his fist, and punched Yang Kai's direction blasted over. That punch broke through the barrier and crushed the void, with infinite power. His eagerness to kill and silence made Yang Kai feel more and more uneasy, wondering if his guess just now was correct. And after Wu Mengchuan made a move, Yang Kai couldn't help being shocked. Because this guy's strength is extremely good, it is definitely not comparable to the general Daoyuan realm, and it can even be said to exceed the Daoyuan realm level. Even if it is impermanence, a rising star like Sha Sheng who is astonishingly talented may not necessarily have the background of Wu Mengchuan. As expected of a descendant of the Great Heaven Devourer, even though he has been practicing on his own all these years, he is not necessarily inferior to those elites. However, although Wu Mengchuan is powerful, Yang Kai is not a vegetarian. Seeing that punch coming, he did not dodge, but greeted him with the same punch. Rumbling. There was a bursting sound, and chaotic energy was cruising around between the two, colliding and confronting each other. Wu Mengchuan was stunned for a moment, slightly shocked in his heart. Yang Kai's strength also made him somewhat unexpected. He knows his own strength, and it is impossible for him to be an opponent in the general Daoyuan state, otherwise he would not be able to kill so many people in the Sea of Broken Stars, snatch so many star seals, and upgrade his star seals to keeming the extent of the star seal. But just like that, Wu Mengchuan's eyes brightened leisurely, and he said in a low voice, "What kind of opportunities have you had in these years, that the Void King realm could grow to such a rapid level back then? It is really amazing. Open your eyes." Although he didn't know what kind of adventure Yang Kai had, but for a person to have such a powerful strength in such a short period of time, Yang Kai was definitely blessed. But no matter what kind of opportunity Yang Kai had, as long as he killed him, it's all his own. While he was speaking, he had already rushed in front of Yang Kai. His fists came down like a violent storm, and his eyes were crazy with a hint of clarity. Yang Kai looked solemn, and quietly circulated the immortal sword energy of the 5 elements, and the power of the 5 elements lingered around him, fighting against it happily and fearlessly. Previously on the other side of Yuan Sea, the fight between the two was just for show, so everyone didn't use all their strength, and neither of them knew where the bottom line was. But now, in this life and death struggle, no one is holding back. For a while, the two fisted and kicked together, playing ping-pong-pong. In terms of body cultivation, Yang Kai is undoubtedly superior. Coupled with the body-quenching technique of the immortal 5-element sword Qi, Wu Mingchuan quickly fell into a disadvantage in this duel, and was defeated by Yang Kai. He was punched to the flesh, and he was beaten in a panic. Wu Mingchuan was also extremely shocked. He found that he still underestimated Yang Kai's ability. In less than 30 breaths of time, Wu Mingchuan's whole body was covered with blood, and he looked extremely bleak. But his eyes were extremely bright. And Yang Kai also faintly sensed something was wrong. Because if someone else had been beaten by him like this, his aura would have already weakened, but Wu Mingchuan's aura not only showed no signs of weakening, but on the contrary showed a tendency to increase. On the contrary, it is a lot of consumption. Suddenly, Yang Kai shrank his eyes and said in a low voice, "The old thief actually devoured my strength." After his careful observation, he finally discovered the clues. After the power of each blow hit Wu Mingchuan, part of it would disappear strangely, and this part of power was obviously swallowed by Wu Mingchuan. Wu Mingchuan laughed loudly, and said, "This seat has practiced the heaven-devouring art of war, and no one can beat it. Unless you can kill this seat with one blow, then just accept death obediently." To kill Wu Mingchuan in one blow, the General Emperor Zun at the first level would never be able to do it, only the strong at the second level of Emperor Zun would be able to do it. Yang Kai sensed that something was wrong, and hurriedly pulled back. However, Wu Mingchuan's voice was violent, and he shouted loudly, "In front of this seat, you can't help but come and leave whenever you want. Sky-devouring domain, let me open it." Boom, a sound, an invisible field suddenly expanded, directly enveloping Yang Kai in it. In this field, Yang Kai found that the power in his body gushed out from the meridian uncontrollably, turning into a trickle of energy towards the crow. Mingchuan flows past. Not only that, but the power of his own qi and blood also showed signs of being swallowed by him. And this speed is getting faster and faster. Yang Kai turned pale with shock, and only then did he experience the horror of the heaven-devouring art. Although the Dharma body also practiced the heaven-devouring art, it is undoubtedly much worse than Wu Mingchuan in terms of this skill, so there is no derivative at all. Out of this field that devours everything. In this field, everything is the source of Wu Mingchuan's power, and he will inevitably swallow his power. If someone fights with him, Wu Mingchuan can easily win under the ebb and flow. Kill your opponent. Yang Kai is now in this embarrassing situation. It's such a rich power of qi and blood, it's such a pure source of power. Wu Mingchuan's eyes lit up, and while fighting with Yang Kai in full swing, he shouted in surprise, "Boy, have you tempered your body? Good. Alright, this is a great tonic, now I have more confidence to be promoted to Emperor Zun." Yang Kai hummed, "You really want to devour me? Be careful not to choke to death." When he spoke, he urged the power of space, and the surrounding space suddenly shook, becoming strange and unpredictable. Wu Mingchuan's eyes widened suddenly, and he said in surprise, This is the law of space." He seemed to be seeing a ghost in daylight, and he was beyond shocked. But the next moment, he was overjoyed. "You are proficient in the laws of space." Seeing this situation, Yang Kai felt a sudden in his heart, wondering if this guy would. Before the thought was finished, Yang Kai realized something was wrong, and said in horror, "Bastard, you can even swallow the power of law." Wu Mingchuan showed an ecstasy look on his face, opened his body and mind to devour everything around him, and kept praising, "Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful, the law of space is so mysterious, no wonder not many people can practice it." He actually realized the mystery of space law by devouring Yang Kai's space power. If it goes on like this for a long time, after he really understands the mystery of space law, then he will definitely be able to cultivate the power of space like Yang Kai and possess space supernatural powers. Only then did Yang Kai truly realize the horror of the heaven-devouring technique. This skill is indeed an extraordinary skill, it can devour everything. Think about it, no matter how miraculous the power of the law is, once it is used by others, people who have practiced the heaven-devouring art of war can comprehend it and practice it through devouring. No wonder that during the battle of the Emperors of the Broken Star Sea, the great Heaven Devourer was able to bring 4 top powerhouses to be buried with him. With such magical skills as the Heaven Devouring battle technique, who could be his opponent in this world? This is simply cheating. This seat is a bit reluctant to kill you. Wu Mengchuan looked at Yang Kai excitedly, and said in a low voice, "Boy, this seat will give you another chance now. You just stop here, open your sea of knowledge, and let this seat brand your soul brand. When he aspires to the top of the star field in the Japanese constellation and reappears the glory of his ancestors, he will let you rule the world. How about it? Is there such a good thing?" Yang Kai gritted his teeth and glared at him. When he spoke, his hands were not idle, and he waved 2 huge moon blades and slashed at him. Wu Mengchuan's eyes were bright again, staring at the moon blade non-stop, as if he saw something novel. When the moon blade was about to reach him, he turned around to avoid it, licked his lips, and said with an impatient expression, "I like your space law very much. As long as you can help me cultivate, if you comprehend the power of this law, I will not treat you badly." "Okay, I'll give you whatever you want. I only want one thing." Yang Kai sneered lightly. Wu Mengchuan said with a sullen face, "If it's my life, then it's out of the question." Yang Kai Dao, "You are so smart, do your parents know?" Wu Mengchuan said angrily, "My parents are already dead, so it's none of their business." Yanwo. While shouting angrily, Wu Mengchuan waved his hand suddenly, and a burst of flames rushed towards Yang Kai. In the flames, there was the law of fire, which seemed to be able to burn everything. Yang Kai was horrified, knowing that the law of fire was not realized by Wu Mengchuan himself. It should have devoured the power of other people's law through the heaven-devouring battle technique. But even so, this supernatural power should not be underestimated. Exile. As soon as he stretched out his hand, a black hole immediately appeared in front of him, swallowing the flame directly. Stubborn. Wu Mengchuan's face became angry, and he spread his hands suddenly. 2 completely different law fluctuations filled the 2 hands. The left hand was surrounded by flames, and the right hand was covered with ice. The power of the law of ice and fire permeated the air, but strangely they did not cancel each other out, but merged perfectly together. He said in a low voice, "Let you taste the ice and fire 9 heavens created by me." Snapped. He slapped his hands in the middle, and the power of ice and fire erupted fiercely in an instant, sweeping the void and shattering the universe. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update Group at ch8296929 Dian Hanji. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2480 Blood Spirit Bottle. Phone reading. Red X. The violent power swept across, and Yang Kai was the first to bear the brunt and was submerged all at once. Web links. Rumbling. The secret technique of the ice and fire 9 heavens crushed and gradually disappeared, its power dissipated reads. Wu Mengchuan stood there with a solemn expression, staring at the front. When the dust settled, Yang Kai stood in the void in ragged clothes. Although he was in a state of distress, he was not in danger of his life. A mysterious aura pervaded the air. Wu Mengchuan suddenly felt an extremely uneasy feeling, which made his heart beat violently. For some reason, he actually had a feeling that time slowed down, as if his perception was suppressed, and everything around him came to a standstill. Only Yang Kai's movements were as fast as thunder. A bright handprint suddenly took shape. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to pat him, and said in a low voice, "Time flies." Wu Mengchuan turned pale with shock, instinctively sensed the dangerous aura coming, and tried to avoid it, but he couldn't move at all. Even his thoughts seemed to freeze at this moment. The heaven-devouring warfare even failed to play any role. The can-can handprint went directly to Wu Mengchuan. At this critical moment, Wu Mengchuan suddenly bit the tip of his tongue, spat out a mouthful of blood, turned his wrist, and a blood-red bottle appeared in his hand. The bottle didn't look big, about a foot high, but when it appeared, there was an extremely strong bloody smell. A red light suddenly burst out from the bottle. The light was as thick as the substance. Not only the bloody smell was pungent, but also flowed, turning into a deep red light and covering the front. Looking around, it was as if a blood-red sea spread out all of a sudden, filling the vast void. Boom boom boom. Years blasted into the sea of blood like shuttle marks, setting off huge waves, and the sea of blood was turbulent. Wu Mengchuan groaned and fell back. Even if this weird secret treasure was sacrificed, he was still inevitably hit by the supernatural power of Emperor Sui Yu. His face aged rapidly, and he seemed to be seriously injured. But his expression calmed down, without the previous panic. Gritting his teeth and staring at Yang Kai, Wu Mingchuan shouted in a low voice, "I didn't expect you to have such supernatural powers." Yang Kai frowned endlessly, constantly looking around. Since Wu Mingchuan sacrificed the blood-red bottle to now, it has only been 3 breaths of time before and after, but now, the environment he is in has suddenly undergone earth-shaking changes. The surrounding area is filled with a strong smell of blood, and the sea of blood below is constantly tumbling. Bubbles came out, and there were faint sounds of howling ghosts and wolves coming from it. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis. And the surrounding space seems to be separated by the sea of blood. Even if Yang Kai is proficient in space power, he can't detect the range outside the sea of blood. It seems that this place has suddenly become a small world similar to the mysterious boundary bead, completely isolated from the outside world. What the hell is this? Yang Kai was puzzled. The only thing he could be sure of was that the blood-red bottle was an emperor treasure. Moreover, it is very likely that it is the emperor treasure left by the heaven-devouring emperor. After all, Wu Mingchuan is not yet Emperor Zun, so it is impossible to have his own emperor treasure. If it was really the emperor treasure of the heaven-devouring emperor, then the trouble would be big, and Yang Kai's face sank for a while. Boy, what kind of supernatural power is this? It's completely different from the law of space you just had. Wu Mingchuan sternly shouted again. Yang Kai glanced at him coldly, and snorted, "You are about to die, why are you asking so many questions?" Wu Mingchuan was taken aback for a moment, and then he burst out laughing. "The boy is not mean, but you can force me to use the blood spirit bottle. You are also proud of it." Blood spirit bottle. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows, knowing that this was the emperor treasure's name. "Not bad," Wu Mingchuan said triumphantly, "this is the emperor's treasure left by our ancestors. Only my Wu family blood can use it. Others can't drive it at all. Although the blood spirit bottle is not the pinnacle of our ancestors, it can deal with you, kid. It's enough. This thing is indeed the emperor treasure left to future generations by the heaven devourer." Yang Kai was shocked. Wu Mingchuan said again, "In the blood spirit bottle of this seat, even if you are proficient in space power, you can never escape. Today you must either seek refuge with this seat, or die here." Yang Kai sneered and said, "You should take care of yourself first. How long can you live if you have won this young master's supernatural power?" Although the imprint of years like a shuttle did not have the expected effect, it still hurt Wu Mingchuan anyway. His gradually aging face is the best proof, and the power of time that has invaded his body cannot be easily resolved. The power of the years will continue to corrode Wu Mingchuan's vitality and eventually make him die of old age. What can a mere secret technique do to me? Wu Mingchuan snorted coldly, stretched out his hand, and the blood below him rushed towards him like 1,000 streams returning to the sea, and with the influx of blood, Wu Mingchuan's old face unexpectedly quickly regained its brilliance, as if it was no longer eroded by the power of time. But Yang Kai was keenly aware that Wu Mingchuan frowned, revealing a look of shock. And his restored face also aged quickly again. What kind of power is this? Wu Mingchuan was finally moved and asked in shock. The way he used the blood to restore his vitality was actually treating the symptoms but not the root cause. Unless he kept absorbing the blood here, he would die at some point. After realizing this, Wu Mingchuan was finally afraid. Yang Kai laughed loudly, and said sarcastically, "You can devour everything, don't you know after you have devoured it? Boy looking for death, I wanted to save your life for my use, but now it seems that I have to kill you." Wu Mingchuan was furious, and with a wave of his hand, the sea of blood suddenly rolled, and a blood dragon sprang out from the sea of blood. This blood dragon is lifelike, staring at the house-sized eyes, baring its teeth and claws, and rushing towards Yang Kai frighteningly. Contrary to Wu Mingchuan's expectation, facing such a fierce blow, Yang Kai just stood there and sneered softly. What the hell is this kid doing? Wu Mingchuan was puzzled in his heart, and he didn't know what Yang Kai was planning. To avoid accidents, he suddenly shot again, and several blood dragons suddenly shot out from the blood sea, surrounding Yang Kai in all directions. Yang Kai snorted. "Wu Mingchuan, your strength is beyond my expectations, but you can be proud of being able to force me to use this treasure." He actually returned what Wu Mingchuan said earlier. Wu Mingchuan was furious. The boy is so arrogant. What kind of waves can you find in this seat's blood spirit bottle? Just accept death obediently. Yang Kai said lightly, "The one who is going to die is you." As soon as the words fell, he stretched out his hand and sacrificed the mountain and river clock. The source power surged, and his spiritual consciousness urged him to pour reeds into the clock. The mountain and river clock grew bigger rapidly, and the complex graphics and texts on the surface of the clock suddenly came to life, lifelike, and kept walking. A wild atmosphere permeated the air. This is... Wu Mengquan's eyes widened suddenly, and he looked at Shan Ding in horror, almost biting off his tongue in shock. As a descendant of the heaven-devouring great emperor, he naturally pays more attention to everything and what happened in the Sea of Broken Stars than others, knowing which great emperor has fallen here and what kind of treasures they have left behind. So as soon as Shan Zongyu appeared, he had already recognized it. This is impossible, Wu Mengquan shouted loudly. No matter what, he couldn't believe it, Yang Kai actually subdued Shan Zhong. This is Emperor Yuanding's natal treasure. It is a prehistoric relic brought out from the wild ancient land by Emperor Yuanding. However, didn't Shan Zhong suppress the phoenix true fire and escape into the void? Why did it appear in Yang Kai's hands? The mountain and river clock is here, but where is the real fire of the phoenix? If this is a real mountain and river clock, then my life is in danger today. Bang! A melodious bell sounded suddenly, and shock waves visible to the naked eye spread in all directions, and the sound waves were mixed with a force that seemed to be able to destroy the world, enough to suppress everything. The few blood dragons that rushed towards Yang Kai and bit them fell apart at once, turned into blood again, and dripped down. And Wu Mengquan was shocked all over, couldn't help but took a few steps back, and after standing still, blood oozed out of his ears and nose. This is a real mountain and river clock. Wu Mengquan only felt that his eyes were white, and he couldn't see anything under the shock of his mind. His head was buzzing. Having personally withstood the shock of the mountain and river clock, he no longer has any doubts. And after the appearance of the mountain and river clock, Wu Mengquan became even more stiff, and was suppressed by an invisible force, and even the bloody water that was originally turbulent became calm all of a sudden, and there was no longer a ripple. Mountain and river bells, the bell rings to town mountains and rivers, and the emperor's rhyme turns to heaven and earth. If it is said that the heaven-devouring art of war devours everything, then Shan Zhong can suppress everything, and it can suppress everything in this world. PFF'd. Wu Mengquan finally couldn't hold back, spurting out a mouthful of blood, and his expression suddenly became much older. Yang Kai snorted coldly. Wu Mengquan, this place today is where you will be buried, obediently die for me. When he yelled, he swung his hand down violently, and the mountain and river clock suddenly fell downwards, crashing into the sea of blood, and disappeared without a trace. But the next moment, the entire sea of blood boiled, and at the same time, there were crackling sounds from all directions. Wu Mengquan turned pale with shock, and sternly shouted, "Stop! Stop quickly, you will destroy my blood spirit bottle." This space was already blocked when he sacrificed the blood spirit bottle. Now that the mountain and river clock is under pressure, the blood spirit bottle can't bear it at all. If it continues, this emperor treasure left by the heaven devourer will definitely be damaged. Yang Kai sneered. My life is almost gone, and I still have to care about the bottle. If the blood spirit bottle could be used by him, Yang Kai would not be so decisive. After all, this is a treasure left by the heaven devourer, its value is immeasurable, but Wu Mengquan said before, this thing is only from his Wu family blood talent can drive it, even if Yang Kai gets it, it is useless. So he was merciless in his actions. Cha-cha-cha, more intensive sounds came out. With a pale face, Wu Mengquan yelled, "Stop, you have something to say." Yang Kai said coldly, "It's not speculative." Wow. There was a sound, and the sea of blood that filled the world was suddenly broken, and the power that blocked the surroundings suddenly disappeared. To be continued. Chapter 2481 Dharma Body Breakthrough. In the void, the sea of blood shattered, and the sky filled with blood rushed to the four poles. In the blink of an eye, the bright red blood light that filled the world disappeared. And Wu Mengquan stood somewhere with a pale complexion, lost in spirit. The blood spirit bottle was destroyed, and he also suffered a huge backlash, plus he was hit by Yang Kai's years of time. At this moment, he has only half of his life left, spouting blood, and staggering, it seems that I can't even stand still. Yang Kai is not much better either. This was the second time he sacrificed the mountain and river bell. After one blow, his eyes turned black, his dizziness was dizzy, his ears were buzzing, and his heartbeat was beating like a war drum, making a thumping sound. He gritted his teeth, and the veins on his forehead burst out. When he raised his hand, the million sword turned into a rainbow and shot towards Wu Mengquan. With a soft bang, the million sword was directly pinned to Wu Mengquan's abdomen, nailing him firmly to the ground, and the ground was instantly stained red with blood. Wu Mengchuan struggled hard, but was unable to break free at all. The next moment, Yang Kai waved his hand again to release the Dharma body, and said with difficulty, "I'll leave it to you." Although Dharma body did not participate in this battle, he could see clearly what was going on outside in the mysterious boundary orb, so as soon as you appeared, he immediately came to Wu Mengchuan and slapped him. Bang! The ground is shaking, and the place where Wu Mengchuan is has been completely covered by a huge slap. The eyes of the Dharma body burst into light, like two bolts of lightning running through the past and the present, and shouted excitedly, "The heaven-devouring art of war." The magic power was activated, and the extremely pure energy overflowed from Wu Mengchuan's old body and was sucked into the body by the Dharma body. Not long after, the Dharma body let out a strange cry, which was filled with joy and excitement, and his huge body was filled with mysterious powers. Seeing this, Yang Kai knew that the Dharma body was about to break through his bottleneck. What Wu Mengchuan said is correct. If the Dharma body can devour him, then the Dharma body can be promoted. It has nothing to do with who has cultivated the main version and who has cultivated the copy. It's just that Wu Mengchuan's tricks were exhausted, but he didn't expect to benefit others in the end. If he had known that there would be such an ending, he probably wouldn't have taught Yang Kai the heaven-devouring art back then. But then again, who in this world can have the background of Dharma body? Who can practice the heaven-devouring battle technique without being backlashed by the magic power, and how many people can win against Wu Mengchuan in the Daoyuan realm? Just a blood spirit bottle is enough to make 99% of Daoyuan people back away. Others who have practiced the heaven-devouring warfare are just a piece of cake when they meet Wu Mengchuan. The mind relaxed, endless fatigue hit, Yang Kai tried his best not to faint, sat down cross-legged slowly, took out a large amount of elixir, stuffed it into the mouth, closed his eyes and adjusted his breath. Excited and weird screams continued to be heard from the Dharma body, the sound was like thunder. And with the devouring of the Dharma body, Wu Mengchuan's aura became weaker and weaker, and it seemed that he might die at any time. Suddenly, the Dharma body let out a sound of surprise, as if it had discovered something. The huge palm suddenly pressed down, accompanied by a crisp crackling sound. Wu Mengchuan's whole body was like a bursting watermelon, bloody, and he couldn't die anymore died. But the Dharma body continued to devour. A moment later, the Dharma body stood there with his hands back, a thoughtful look flashed in his nimble eyes. He stood there quietly, without moving for a long time. His eyes became brighter and brighter, and after a flash of enlightenment, Dharma body sat down cross-legged, pinched Ling Ju with his hand, and remained motionless. Without the baptism of heaven and earth energy, and without the gathering of heaven and earth spiritual energy, the Dharma body seemed to fall into a state of deep sleep all of a sudden. Time passed slowly, and after 2 full days, Yang Kai slowly opened his eyes. Although his body was still a little weak, it did not hinder his movement. He first took back the Shan bell and the million sword, and then looked at the Dharma body. Although he was adjusting his breath earlier, he was also paying attention to the situation on the Dharma body side, so he knew exactly what happened there. After watching for a while, Yang Kai couldn't help but frown. Because he unexpectedly noticed that the aura of the Dharma body was constantly weakening. Not only the aura of the body, but also the fluctuation of the power of the soul was gradually undetectable, as if he had really fallen asleep. Yang Kai didn't dare to interfere with him rashly. After all, the Dharma body is not a body of flesh and blood, and his promotion is very different from that of ordinary warriors. There is no baptism of heaven and earth energy, and I don't know if this situation is normal now. All Yang Kai can do is to provide some source crystals to the Dharma body, so that he has enough heaven and earth spiritual chi. Thinking of this, he quickly took out the hill-like source crystals from the space ring and piled them up beside the Dharma body. But just as these source crystals were put down, they were devoured by a magical force, and all the spiritual energy disappeared at once, turning into powder. Yang Kai's heart skipped a beat when he saw it. The source crystals he took out were at least 30 million, and they disappeared all at once. This kind of consumption is too terrifying. Fortunately, he didn't lack source crystals, so he quickly got some out again. So again and again, hundreds of millions of source crystals were thrown out, including high, middle and low grades, which slowed down the speed at which the Dharma body devoured the source crystals. In the following days, Yang Kai has been paying attention to the situation of the Dharma body. Once the source crystal is consumed, he will take out some more. The wealth that Yang Kai cheated and abducted some time ago has consumed more than half of it at once. After a full month, the Dharma body stopped absorbing the spiritual energy in the source crystals. At this time, no matter how many source crystals Yang Kai placed beside him, he did not swallow them anymore. Yang Kai estimated that it should have reached some kind of limit. Perhaps, success or failure is all about this. At a certain moment, Yang Kai, who was paying close attention to the movement of the Dharma body, suddenly heard a crackling sound. He was slightly startled, and didn't know what happened, so he quickly released his divine sense to investigate quietly. What he saw, Yang Kai was taken aback. Because there was a crack outside the body of the Dharma body, as if the wall that hadn't been repaired for many years was overwhelmed. This discovery made Yang Kai feel suspicious. Although it is said that the body swallowed Wu Mengquan, logically speaking, it should be able to break through the bottleneck of the cultivation technique, thus gaining more powerful power. But the sky-devouring art of war is for people to practice, who knows what the consequences will be if the stone puppet cultivates it. Just when Yang Kai was in doubt, the sound came again, and this time it was continuous. Looking around, there are criss-cross cracks appearing everywhere in the body of Dharma body. Clatter. After a while, a large piece of rubble fell from the body of the Dharma body. Yang Kai's eyelids twitched, worried in his heart. After so many years of cultivation, Dharma body's body has basically been finalized. Any part of his body is stronger than Dabao, and it is impossible for him to be harmed by casual attacks. But now, those things on his body surface did not break apart and fell off. What happened? Yang Kai was anxious to die, but he was powerless, he didn't know what he should do now to help him. The clattering still continued, and within 10 breaths of time, a circle of gravel had piled up beside Fashion, and these gravels were also very strange. After falling down, they immediately fell apart, as if there was nothing hardness to speak of. After a while, Yang Kai suddenly showed a look of surprise, staring blankly at the Dharma body. He found that after peeling off a layer of gravel on the surface of the body, the Dharma body shrunk by a large circle. Although the previous behemoth was shocking enough, it was too inconvenient to move, but now that it has shrunk by a large circle, the Dharma body will undoubtedly become more flexible. Is this kind of change a good side? Natural selection. Dharmakaya is a special existence, but since he can exist in this world, it is reasonable, and his growth and evolution will inevitably develop towards the good side. The current situation may be his own evolution process. Kachacha. There was another crisp sound, and Yang Kai found that there were cracks on the surface of the dwindling Dharma body again. With the previous experience, this time Yang Kai didn't seem too nervous, but quietly paid attention to the changes afterwards. As expected, after the cracks appeared to a certain extent, a layer on the surface of the Law's body peeled off again, making his figure shrink for the second time. This situation lasted for several days, and the Dharma body also experienced 6 shrinking changes. It wasn't until this time that it finally settled down. And the breath and spirit fluctuations in his body also started to rise again, and finally reached a level that made Yang Kai startled. That is definitely the breath and soul fluctuation that can only be possessed by the Emperor Senior Realm. Although there is no earth-shattering promotion process, although there is no empowerment and baptism of the energy of heaven and earth, the Dharmakaya undoubtedly has a powerful strength comparable to that of the Emperor. Supplemented with the heaven-devouring art of fighting and the magic soldier hammer, the Dharma body with a special physique can definitely exert incredible power. It wasn't until this moment that the Dharma body suddenly opened his eyes, and in those smart eyes, there was a radiant look, and it was obvious that he had gained a lot. How? Although he had seen the result, Yang Kai couldn't help but stepped forward and asked. Dharmakaya stood up slowly. Although the body has shrunk a lot after undergoing 6 body transformations, the Dharma body standing up is still as tall as 3 people, with a huge body shape, extraordinary aura, and a body as bright as a rock that has been washed by seawater for countless years. Even Yang Kai can't help it. A sense of oppression arises. It doesn't feel bad. Dharma body grinned, but with the sharp-edged faces of the stone puppet clan, it made the smile appear naive. After a pause, he continued. Although I can feel that I am many times stronger than before, but I have to get familiar with my lower body first. While speaking, he stretched out his hand and clenched his fist. The body shape has undergone a huge change, and the Dharma body has not been able to get used to it for a while, so it must go through a period of coordination. Yang Kai nodded and said, "Then you should get acquainted with it in the near future." While speaking, he stretched out his hand, ready to take the Dharma body into mysterious Shaoji. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to read it on Chuangshi Chinese website, and vote for the work. your support is the biggest motivation for me to continue to create. Chapter 2482 Mo Xiao 7. Phone reading. Look at this thing. I snatched it from Wu Mengquan before. Before he died, he seemed to want to destroy this thing, and he didn't know what the secret was. Throwing something to Yang Kai. Yang Kai took it, looked it over carefully, and found that it was just a jade slip, but the jade slip was old at a glance, it seemed to be passed down from a long time ago. Moreover, on the jade slips, there were many restrictions, and Yang Kai tried to break them, but he couldn't get in at all. The method of restraint is extremely old and complicated. Yang Kai studied it for a while, but he had no clue at all. Dharma Body said that he snatched it from Wu Mengquan, and Wu Mengquan wanted to destroy this jade slip before he died. It seems that this jade slip has a lot of background, and it must be hiding some secret, and Wu Mengquan didn't want Yang Kai to get this jade slip and unlock that secret. What is the secret that Wu Mengquan tried his best to destroy before he died, and he didn't want others to know? Wu Mengquan is the descendant of the heaven-devouring Great Emperor, and this Sea of Broken Stars is the place where the Tian-devouring Great Emperor was buried. Yang Kai thought about it, and felt that this jade slip was related to the Tian-devouring Great Emperor. Putting the jade slip away solemnly, Yang Kai jumped away from the broken star. After Wu Mengquan's death, Yang Kai obtained his 7-pointed star seal, and the space ring naturally belonged to Yang Kai, but there was nothing good in his space ring, the only blood spirit bottle inherited from the Great Emperor of Heaven. It should be regarded as a priceless treasure, but unfortunately it was destroyed by Shan Zhang. After devouring Wu Mengquan's 7-pointed star seal, Yang Kai's star seal still shows no signs of upgrading. According to the rumors, if the star seal can be upgraded to the most advanced 9-pointed star seal, the inheritance of the heaven-devouring emperor can be found. Yang Kai reckoned that this was just a rumor, not to mention how many people a person needs to kill to upgrade the star seal to the top level. The inheritance of the heaven-devouring Great Emperor alone is not something anyone can get. The strength and terror of the heaven-devouring battle technique, Yang Kai has already experienced it. Even if someone gets the heaven-devouring battle technique here, it may not be a blessing. So Yang Kai didn't pay too much attention to this matter from the beginning to the end, and he estimated that no one could upgrade his star seal to the top level. A day later, Yang Kai returned to the Origin Sea again. Last time, because he met Wu Mengquan, Yang Kai was eager to find him to inquire about the news of the heaven-devouring battle technique, so he left the Origin Sea, but now the Dharma Body has broken through the bottleneck. Of course he wants to return. There are still many original powers in the original sea that he has not absorbed and refined, and he has not seen the complete original source in the legend. How can he just miss it like this? But when Yang Kai came to Yuan Sea, he realized that time had passed and everything was very different from before. Look around. The area of the original sea has been greatly reduced, and the number of warriors who have come here has increased. I don't know what happened to the original sea in the month after I left. In the sky above the Origin Sea, there are countless battle groups, large and small. Countless warriors gather here, and warriors are constantly being killed, falling from the sky, and falling into the Origin Sea without a trace. Compared with before, there are obviously a lot more battles here. Yang Kai couldn't help frowning. So many people have come to Yuan Sea. Obviously someone passed the news out, so many warriors flocked to it. This also proves that Benyuanai is indeed a good place. However, when there are many people, there will naturally be more disputes. In such a chaotic situation, it is very precious to be able to absorb the essence of refining with peace of mind. Yang Kai flew all the way and found that the situation was worse than what he had seen. Not only are there more battles among warriors, but the entire Origin Sea is exuding an extremely strange aura at this moment. Yang Kai clearly senses that the Origin Sea is slowly flowing in a certain direction, even bigger. Is there anyone else who owns a treasure similar to the mysterious boundary bead? Otherwise, how could such abnormalities appear in Benyuanai? He was full of suspicion. But he has no plans to stay outside for long. Instead, I am going to go deep inside to see the situation like last time. The original power in the depths is more concentrated and pure, and one day of absorption and refining there is comparable to a month outside. Suddenly, Yang Kai looked in one direction as if feeling something. And over there, a pair of bright eyes just happened to look towards this side. Looking at each other, Yang Kai's eyes lit up, and he immediately turned around and rushed over there. Because the person looking at him over there is actually Lu Yan. 1 year after entering the Broken Star Sea, Yang Kai separated from Lu Yan and the others, and Sister Hua also wanted to go out to find her own chance. As a result, he has been alone, and feels a little lonely from time to time. But he didn't want to meet again in the original sea at this moment. Although it is a coincidence, it is also inevitable. At this moment, 70% to 80% of the warriors who are still alive in the Sea of Broken Stars are gathered in the Sea of Origin. Lu Yan and the others must have heard the news of the Sea of Origin, so they came here. And the little girl of the Zhang family was standing beside Lu Yan at the moment. She looked slim and looked good. When Yang Kai flew past, Lu Yan poked Zhang Ruoxi quietly, and whispered something to her. The next moment, Zhang Ruoxi turned her head and looked towards Yang Kai, her eyes brightened up. After Yang Kai came to the front, she immediately shouted crisply, "Sir." I don't know if it was because of seeing Yang Kai again, Zhang Ruoxi's face was flushed, and the corners of her eyes were filled with cheerful smiles, looking extremely happy. Yang Kai smiled slightly, and when he was about to speak, he suddenly rolled his eyes and scanned Zhang Ruoxi up and down. The little girl is very embarrassed to be looked at by Yang Kai. Third layer Daoyuan. Yang Kai took a breath, and could hardly believe his eyes. In less than 2 years, Zhang Ruoxi was actually promoted from the Daoyuan first level to the third level Daoyuan, and in the environment where the spiritual energy is thin like the broken star sea, such a speed of cultivation, even Yang Kai himself would be willing to bow down. Although Yang Kai knew that Zhang Ruoxi had a special bloodline, and it was very likely that he contained a shocking secret. As long as he had the resources, his cultivation speed would be unbelievably fast, but he still had a kind of shock that he would look at with admiration for 3 days. On the other hand, Lu Yan's strength doesn't seem to have increased much, and he is still at the third level of Daoyuan, but his breath is undoubtedly more condensed and pure. During this period of time, without Yang Kai taking care of them, they seem to be doing well. Sister Lu Yan gave me all the cultivation resources, so I was promoted to the third level of Daoyuan. Zhang Ruoxi explained in a low voice, "This is due to Sister Lu Yan." Lu Yan smiled lightly, but did not speak. Yang Kai nodded and said, "That also requires you to have this talent. No talent, no amount of resources can achieve so much in such a short period of time." Yang Kai suddenly looked forward to what kind of achievements this little girl of the Zhang family could achieve in the future. "Master, have you seen Sister Hua during this time?" Lu Yan asked suddenly. Yang Kai shook his head and said, "I didn't see it." Zhang Ruoxi was a little worried and said, "I don't know how Sister Hua is doing these days. The 3 girls are often companions in the mysterious boundary bead, so they have deep feelings, and now they meet Yang Kai again, but without watching see, naturally they are a little worried about her safety." In the less than 2 years since leaving Yang Kai, Lu Yan and Zhang Ruoxi have seen too much ugliness, many times relying on Lu Yan's white tiger puppet to save the day, especially Zhang Ruoxi. The edges and corners of innocence have been worn away, faintly ripe taste. "You don't have to worry too much about what Sister Hua said." Although Yang Kai was worried, he could only comfort him. "Sister Hua is different from you. She is old, and she is a disciple of the Star God Palace, and she has the 5-colored spear. Ordinary people are not her opponents. But now there are many people in Star Fragment Sea who have been promoted to Emperor Zun." Zhang Ruoxi said softly. "There are emperors, but not many. Sister Hua is not so unlucky. And those who can be promoted to emperors are all elite disciples of the major sects, and they will not bully others for no reason." Yang Kai comforted for a while, and the words turning around, he said, "What are you doing standing here? It's very dangerous up here. Go down and find a place to refine and absorb the original power." "Little 7th sister is here," Lu Yan said. "Shao-Chi, which Shao-Chi?" Yang Kai looked at her blankly, not understanding who she was talking about for a moment. Lu Yan pointed his hand in a certain direction. Yang Kai looked along, couldn't help but widen his eyes, and exclaimed, "Mo Shao-Chi. Who is the woman in dire straits who is fighting over there if not Mo Shao-Chi?" A butterfly-shaped birthmark on her face is still as obvious as when Yang Kai first saw her. Back then when Yang Kai first came to Fenggalan City, he met only 2 friends. One was Saran, the shopkeeper of Dianfeng, and the other was this ghostly little girl, Mo Shao-Chi. It's a pity that Saran was later promoted to Daoyuan realm and was transferred away by Ziwan Chamber of Commerce, and Mo Shao-Chi also disappeared without a trace one day, leaving only an inexplicable message. "Aunt Feng came to arrest me, I'm leaving." Yang Kai has seen the so-called Aunt Feng. With the powerful cultivation base of Emperor Zun's third-layer realm, the power of one palm smashed Yang Kai's secret treasure building and ship without hurting him at all. The wooden boat he is using now was given as compensation by Aunt Feng. That was also the first time that Yang Kai saw the power of Emperor Senior's third-layer realm. Faced with such a strong person, Yang Kai felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Fortunately, Aunt Feng didn't have any malice towards him, otherwise Yang Kai would have nothing to do with it, today. About Mo Xiaoqi's origin and background, Yang Kai back then didn't know much about her. He only knew that she definitely had a strong background, but after years of hard work in the star realm and gradually understanding the power of all parties, Yang Kai also vaguely guessed. The real identity of Mo Xiaoqi was revealed. Eastern Spirit Beast Island, the daughter of the great beast warrior. In the Eastern Territory, there are two magical islands. One is the Spirit Beast Island, which is the hermitage of the 10 great Emperor Beast Emperor Wu. Although it is not a sect, it is famous in the entire star world, and everyone knows it. And the second one is the legendary Dragon Island that has no trace. It is rumored that there are many dragons living on the Dragon Island, and most people don't know its exact location, or even whether it exists or not. But the name of Long Island is equally impressive. To be continued. Chapter 2482 The Empress Controversy. Emperor Beast Wu is one of the top 10 emperors today, enslaving all beasts, with transcendent strength, and his hands and eyes are open to the sky. It's just that because he is a relatively low-key person, few people know about his life story, and he didn't create any sects like Emperor Mingyu or Emperor Yuewen. He just lived in seclusion on the Spirit Beast Island. Mo Xiaoqi is the daughter of the Beast Warrior Emperor, with an extraordinary status. Who would dare to fight her here? If something unexpected happens to her, is that okay? Even a guy like Feng Zan can cast his soul on his own son. Once Mo Xiaoqi's life is in danger, the Emperor Beast Wu will also come to cast his soul. Who here can bear his anger? So when he saw that Mo Xiaoqi was fighting with others, Yang Kai was very anxious, and said with a bitter face, "Why don't you go up to help?" Lu Yan said lightly, "I can't get in." Yang Kai was stunned, only then did he see clearly who was fighting with Mo Xiaoqi. The fight with Mo Xiaoqi was in dire straits. The seemingly indistinguishable opponent was also a woman, and she was radiant, with fluttering dresses, extremely beautiful. Yang Kai also knew this woman. Star God Palace in the Southern Territory, the daughter of Emperor Mingyu, Princess Lanzun. Yang Kai has a black line on his face. The identities of these two girls are very sensitive, and they are both the daughters of the great emperor, and only they dare to attack each other. "Why are you fighting?" Yang Kai asked hastily. "I don't know." They looked at each other inexplicably, and then they started fighting. Lu Yan replied. "There is such a thing." Yang Kai was in a cold sweat. But judging from this, the two girls should know each other and know each other's identities. Perhaps it is because of the young and competitive nature of the little girls that they have the idea of competing with each other even though their backgrounds and status are almost the same. But even if you want to compete, you have to look at the time and place, right? This place is a sea of broken stars. How can it be a place to fight for power? I haven't seen each other for a few years. Both Mo Xiaoqi and Lan Xuan have already cultivated at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. The daughters of these two great emperors are obviously talented, which is why they can achieve such a great achievement in such a short period of time. Yang Kai knew that Lan Xuan had inherited the Mingyu phantom body of Emperor Mingyu, and that although Mo Xiaoqi didn't have a special physique, he was born able to control all kinds of monsters to fight for him, and as the daughter of Emperor Beast Wu, he was born with learning as an extremely profound and mysterious secret technique. At the moment, the two girls were fighting over there. Compared with Lan Xuan's elegance and calmness, Mo Xiaoqi looked much wilder. I don't know what secret technique she used. She was as nimble as a leopard, and her face there are traces of beast-like lines on his body, and the aura emanating from his body is extremely wild. Neither of them intended to use the secret treasures, they just relied on what they had learned in their lives to compete there. Yang Kai only took a few glances, and knew that neither of them should be able to do anything to the other. Lan Xuan's bright moon phantom body did not know what was so magical, it made her figure change strangely, and Mo Xiaoqi attacked violently for a while. Still unable to break through the defense, when he was exhausted, he turned from offense to defense, and Lan Xuan took the opportunity to make a move, and so on. Not far away, there was a man nervously watching, yelling from time to time, "Princess, be careful, don't get hurt." Xiao Chen. As the flower protector of Princess Lan Xuan, this guy will definitely appear where Lan Xuan is. He is also in a cold sweat at the moment. If someone else dares to fight Lan Xuan, he he must have gone up and taught him a lesson, but Mo Shaoqi is not an ordinary person, so even if Xiao Chen has been promoted to Emperor Zun at this moment, he can only be by the side. He stared blankly, completely unable to intervene. When he was anxious, Xiao Chen felt someone flying towards him, turned his head to look, and saw Yang Kai standing in front of him with a smile on his face. He looked Yang Kai up and down and snorted coldly, "It's you." He obviously remembered Yang Kai. After all, in the land of 4 seasons, Yang Kai refined the Tai Miao pill, which caused a lot of trouble. Of course, Xiao Chen would have a deep impression on such a person. Yang Kai laughed and said, "Brother Xiao, I haven't seen you for many years, congratulations on being promoted to Emperor Zun." Xiao Chen proudly said, "There's nothing to congratulate. This young man is full of geniuses, and it's only a matter of time before he is promoted to Emperor Zun." He was so shameless that Yang Kai's face turned black. But having said that, although Xiao Chen is a bit domineering, he still has aptitude, otherwise he would not have been promoted to Emperor Senior stage. But Xiao Chen said, "I remember that you took a Tai Miao Dan in the land of 4 seasons, why is it still in the source of Dao now? Tisk tisk, your aptitude is too bad, it is a waste of such a magic pill. What?" Yang Kai smiled indifferently. Yeah, if he had given that great wonderful pill to Brother Xiao back then, maybe Brother Xiao would have been promoted to Emperor Senior long ago. Of course, Xiao Chen said triumphantly, and soon, he asked suspiciously again, "What do you want from me?" Yang Kai looked solemn, looked at the battlefield of the 2 girls over there, and said, "Brother Xiao, why are you standing here watching? Princess Lan Xuan has such a noble status, and you actually let her fight with others. If this matter spreads in the ears of Lord Mingyu, how could the Lord forgive you lightly? If there is any mistake, it will be even more serious. Why don't you separate them quickly?" Xiao Chen's face turned bitter, and the previous pride and arrogance disappeared all of a sudden, and he complained, "If we could separate, I would have separated long ago, and I need you to tell me. Do you know who is the woman who fought with the princess?" "Who?" Yang Kai stared innocently. "What a country bumpkin, I don't even know her background." Xiao Chen pouted and said, "However, the identity of this girl is not known by ordinary people, that's all. Today I will open your eyes, listen carefully, then this girl is the daughter of Emperor Beast Warrior." Beast Martial Emperor. Yang Kai had a surprised expression on his face. Xiao Chen snorted and said, "Are you afraid? Now you know why I can only watch, but can't step forward to intervene, right? These 2 are both princesses, and there is no good fruit for offending anyone. Hey, it's really hard to be a man." He sighed, with a miserable expression on his face. "Yang Kai Dao, you can't let them continue to fight like this. Now the 2 of them just look at each other, but once they fight for real, the consequences will be very bad. You know, the little girl's family competitiveness is relatively strong. If the stalemate persists for a long time, it may not turn into a situation of life and death." Xiao Chen trembled when he heard that, as if he had foreseen the terrifying scene. His face turned pale and he said, "There will be such a thing. Don't lie to me." Yang Kai said seriously, "Everything is possible, now it is important to separate them." Xiao Chen swallowed his saliva, and said, "How to divide? Her Royal Highness can't even listen to what I say, unless you go up and directly intervene." "Then go up and intervene directly and separate them." Yang Kai said solemnly, "Brother Xiao, you are also a strong Emperor Senior realm now, is it difficult to separate 2 little girls who are fighting?" "Of course it doesn't cost anything." Xiao Chen snorted, looked at Yang Kai meaningfully, and said, "But why do I feel you are going to trap me in an unrighteous way? Are you looking at me more than you? You are handsome, so I am upset." "How could it be?" Yang Kai said awe-inspiringly. "I am just thinking about the safety of the princess. I am also a martial artist from the southern region, so naturally I don't want to see the princess suffer any harm. A perfect person like the princess, any harm is a blasphemy against her." Xiao Chen nodded approvingly, with a fiery look in his eyes, and said, "You are right, the princess cannot be harmed in the slightest, and they must be separated quickly." "Brother Xiao, hurry up," Yang Kai urged. Xiao Chen grabbed Yang Kai's arm and said, "Since you are so enthusiastic and loyal, then join me. I will be responsible for stopping Princess Lan Xuan, and you will be responsible for stopping the other princess. It's such a happy decision." Quote. While speaking, he dragged Yang Kai forward and flew forward. Regardless of whether Yang Kai was willing or not, the speed was as fast as lightning. Yang Kai looked stunned, cursing in his heart. He originally wanted to trick Xiao Chen into intervening to resolve this meaningless fight, but he didn't want this guy who looked stupid, but was actually very shrewd, to drag himself over. But the matter has come to this point, Yang Kai has no time to care about so much, he can only cooperate with him as Xiao Chen said. When he got close, Xiao Chen threw Yang Kai towards the center of the two women's struggle, and shouted, "You two princesses, please stop, let's talk if we have something to say, don't touch your hands." Quote. Xiao Chen, I'm going to fuck your ancestors. Yang Kai began to curse inwardly, he never thought Xiao Chen would be so despicable and insidious, he actually threw himself over as a hidden weapon, this obviously distracted Lan Xuan and Mo Xiaoqi's attention, and let him take it by himself. It's much easier to step down and intervene. In midair, Yang Kai twisted his body and stabilized his body, not daring to make a rash move, he could only urge his source force to protect his body. The next moment he rushed into the center of the vortex where the two women were fighting. There were several bangs, mixed with Yang Kai's muffled groan. Both Lan Xuan and Mo Xiaoqi withdrew their hands in astonishment, stepped back a few feet each, and looked at Yang Kai in a daze. Neither of the two women was someone who killed innocent people indiscriminately, so when they saw someone breaking into the battle circle and being accidentally injured by themselves, they immediately stopped. Mo Xiaoqi looked at the visitor with some unease, and didn't know if the visitor was in danger of life, but the next moment, her beautiful eyes lit up, and the animal patterns that appeared on her face faded away. "Brother Yang," she looked at Yang Kai in surprise and joy, and let out a coquettish cry. Yang Kai grinned at her, and at the same time as he rushed over, he hugged her and opened the distance between him and Lan Xuan. Hiss. On the other side, Xiao Chen, who was rushing over after Yang Kai, couldn't help but gasp when he saw this scene, he was shocked and admired at the same time. He just wanted Yang Kai to help separate the two princesses, but he didn't want this kid to reach out and hug Mo Xiaoqi. This kid has eaten the heart of a bear and the guts of a leopard. How dare you be so rude to a princess? To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at Cha Shang Meng Sao. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is the author's greatest motivation. Chapter 2484 Steal Everything from Me. What is the identity of the daughter of the Beast Martial Emperor? Even many Emperor's senior realm powerhouses have to be polite when they see it, but Yang Kai dares to reach out and hug her. If this matter is passed to the Beast Martial Emperor's ears, if Yang Kai fled to the ends of the earth, he would be cut into pieces. Not to mention Emperor Beast Martial Arts, even if the princess was so molested by a man, how could she let it go? That kid is dead. However, Xiao Chen soon found out in surprise that after being hugged by Yang Kai, the princess didn't have the slightest intention of resisting, instead she stretched out her arms and hugged Yang Kai's neck, pressing her delicate body against her. On Yang Kai. The pearls in Xiao Chen's eyes were all red, and he was envious and jealous. There is such a good thing in this world. By coincidence, Xiao Chen grinned, showing a gentle smile, while quickly approaching Lan Xuan, while stretching out his generous arms, to embrace Lan Xuan. But he just got close to Lan Xuan, and before he could make a move, Lan Xuan suddenly turned around and punched him with a pair of pink fists. There was a sound of hitting the ground, because Xiao Chen had already been promoted to Emperor Zun, and he was also hit on the bridge of the nose by this punch, but he didn't dare to use any strength to dispel it, and staring at him immediately, and he became dizzy. What are you doing? Lan Xuan looked at him coldly and asked with displeasure. It's nothing, nothing. Xiao Chen stood there in embarrassment, with 2 lines of nosebleeds streaming down his mouth. On the other side, after Yang Kai brought Mo Xiaoqi and Lan Xuan far enough away, he felt the astonishing softness of the 2 lumps on his chest. He couldn't help blushing a little, patted the back of Mo Xiaoqi who was hanging on his body, and said, "Okay, come down and talk first, let others see the joke." After hearing this, Mo Xiaoqi realized something was wrong, and quickly jumped off Yang Kai's body, blushing and said, "Brother Yang is really you." Yang Kai chuckled, glanced up and down at her, and said, "I haven't seen you in a few years, I've grown up a lot." Mo Xiaoqi frowned and said, "Rogue." Yang Kai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said, "I said you've grown up, where do you want to go?" Only then did Mo Xiaoqi take a serious look at Yang Kai, nodded and said, "Brother Yang is also much better." When she left Fenggalan City back then, Yang Kai was only at the 1st level of Daoyuan. Now goodbye, Yang Kai is already at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. For a martial artist with no sect background and no backing, this kind of growth is extremely astonishing. The reason why Mo Xiaoqi can make such great progress is because her identity is different from others. With Emperor Beast Wu personally guiding her, Dianfeng supervised her training, and Spirit Beast Island's inexhaustible training resources, it's strange that she didn't grow up. While the two were talking, Lu Yan and Zhang Ruoxi also flew over from there. Mo Xiaoqi smiled and said, "When I went to Broken Star Sea, I thought that I should be able to meet Brother Yang, but I couldn't find it after searching for more than 2 years. It wasn't until I met Sister Lu Yan not long ago that I realized that you were really there." Here. Lu Yan knew Mo Xiaoqi, and the two women also met in Fenggalan City, but Lu Yan was still a weapon spirit back then, although there was a huge difference compared to now, his aura hadn't changed much. So after meeting each other, Mo Xiaoqi quickly recognized her. After that, they came to this origin sea together, and Yang Kai knew what happened after that. Yang Kai glanced at Lan Xuan quietly, and said, "Xiaoqi, why are you fighting with Princess Lan Xuan?" Mo Xiaoqi glared over there unhappily, and hummed, "It's an old story." Yang Kai's face darkened, and said, "How old are you two? What old debts can you have?" Although Mo Xiaoqi and Lan Xuan both have powerful cultivation bases at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, they are really young in terms of age. They are only in their early 20s at most. At this age and cultivation base, only the great emperor only later generations can do it. Why not? When she was a child and Master Mingyu went to Spirit Beast Island as guests, she robbed me of a very beautiful dress. That's it. Yang Kai's eyes widened. That's my favorite dress. Aunt Feng sewed it for me. I cried for days. Mo Xiaoqi exclaimed aggrievedly. Yang Kai had a helpless look on his face, thinking that he really didn't understand the little girl's thoughts. While talking, Lan Xuan and Xiao Chen also slowly walked over from there. Not far away, Lan Xuan looked at Mo Xiaoqi with a smile, and said, "Sister Xiaoqi, do you want to continue the fight?" Mo Xiaoqi glared at her and said, "If you want to beat me, I will accompany you." "Who is afraid of you?" There was a flash of light in Lan Xuan's beautiful eyes, and she said with a smile, "It seems that my sister is very unconvinced." Mo Xiaoqi snorted, "You said it as if you won, you have a thick skin." Lan Xuan said, "Isn't it? My sister beat you by half." Mo Xiaoqi's face turned red, and he gritted his teeth and said, "You are still older than me, when I am your age, I will definitely not lose to you." The smile on Lan Xuan's face suddenly retracted, the temperature in the void seemed to drop sharply, the chill was piercing. Yang Kai and Xiao Chen fought a cold war together, and they both realized that something was wrong. Although Mo Xiaoqi and Lan Xuan are almost the same age, Lan Xuan should be 2 or 3 years older. It's not a big deal to be 2 or 3 years old, but the word, old, Mo Xiaoqi undoubtedly touched Lan Xuan's sensitivity, nerves. The two women who had just stopped fighting had just disagreed, and their beautiful eyes stared at one place. Sparks seemed to fly in the void, and a big battle seemed to be on the verge of breaking out. Yang Kai looked at Xiao Chen and kept giving him winks. Xiao Chen sniffed, wiped the blood under his nostrils, and turned his eyes to the side. Waste. Yang Kai cursed in his heart, so he could only stand up bravely, and said with a smile, okay, I've been beaten, you two, don't be so fussy, you are childhood playmates, this friendship is not it's very precious, come, let's shake hands, we're still good friends." Who is good friends with her? Both women gritted their teeth bitterly. Yang Kai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, and said, "Even if you're not a good friend, don't fight and kill, girls have to be reserved, it's not proper to use hands and feet." Mo Xiaoqi pouted, with a displeased expression on her face. Lan Xuan rolled his eyes and suddenly became radiant. He lightly opened his lips and said, "Senior brother Yang said rightly that Lan Xuan made a mistake. You shouldn't be as fussy as my sister. Don't be angry, little sister. My sister is here. Here is my apology to you." HMPH. Mo Xiaoqi turned his head aside directly, as if he didn't want to talk to her. Lan Xuan didn't care, and looked at Yang Kai with a smile and said, "Senior brother Yang actually knows Little Seven, which is really surprising. Little Seven usually lives in the eastern region, and even I only met once when I was a child. How did senior brother Yang know?" This girl didn't know why she wanted to inquire about this, but Yang Kai felt a flash of swords and swords, so he could only laugh and say, "It's just a coincidence, nothing special." But Mo Xiaoqi stared at Lan Xuan vigilantly and said, "You old woman, it's possible that you have taken a fancy to my brother Yang, why do you ask so clearly?" As soon as these words came out, Zhang Ruoxi couldn't help but yelled, covering her red lips with her small hand. Lan Xuan also blushed slightly, her eyebrows frowned, on the contrary it was Lu Yan, with a nonchalant expression on her face. Lan Xuan said, "The little girl has nothing to stop her from speaking, how dare she say anything?" Mo Xiaoqi made a face at her and said, you are not afraid of the shadow slanting, why are you so nervous? Lan Xuan was angry. She was just curious how Yang Kai could know someone like Mo Xiaoqi, and the relationship between the two seemed to be very close, but she didn't want to be teased by Mo Xiaoqi for a while, she couldn't stand it. Fang Xin was annoyed. She gritted her silver teeth and said, "Yes, sister, I just fell in love with you, brother Yang, and I am going to take him back to show my father, so that my father can get a son-in-law as soon as possible. Sister, what do you have? Do you have an opinion?" This time it was Mo Xiaoqi's turn to be dumbfounded. She looked at Lan Xuan in astonishment, then at Yang Kai, then stomped her feet and said, "You bad woman, why do you always grab me for everything? You snatched clothes from me when you were young, but now you want to snatch me, brother Yang." While speaking, she hugged Yang Kai's arm, not caring about the deformation of her plump breasts being squeezed by Yang Kai's arm, gritted her teeth, and said resolutely, "If you dare to grab it, I will fight with you." Lan Xuan suddenly laughed and trembled, giggled and said, "It depends on which one you like, brother Yang. Do you like an unreasonable little girl like you, or like a woman who is educated, sensible, and understanding like my sister?" While speaking, she didn't know what secret technique she activated, but she exuded an extremely eye-catching aura. Xiao Chen gulped down his saliva watching from the sidelines, his eyeballs were straightened, wishing he could close his eyes and put them on Lan Xuan's body. Mo Xiaoqi's face turned red with anxiety, and she tightly hugged Yang Kai's arm, as if she would never let go, and said angrily, "What's so great about you? What's so great about you? Aunt Feng is thousands of times more beautiful than you." Quote. Senior Jufeng. Lan Xuan suddenly looked serious. Mo Xiaoqi raised her head and said triumphantly, "Yes, can you compare with Aunt Feng?" After snorting, she said to Yang Kai again, "Brother Yang, don't pay attention to this old woman. If you like to see beautiful women, come to Spirit Beast Island another day, and I will introduce Aunt Feng to you." The corner of Yang Kai's mouth twitched, he didn't know how to respond. Lan Xuan looked at Mo Xiaoqi in astonishment. She couldn't laugh or cry when she said this, knowing that this girl lived in the Spirit Beast Island all year round, and was so well protected by those adults. She didn't even understand the relationship between men and women. She cared so much about Yang Open. "I'm afraid it's just an instinctive reaction against myself. How can I compete with her?" Lan Xuan suddenly felt dull, nodded and said, "Compared to Senior Jufeng, I am naturally inferior. Well, little sister Qi, you have won this time." When Mo Xiaoqi heard this, she immediately beamed with joy, and said happily, "You are not bad, although you are a little worse than me." Lan Xuan smiled wryly and shook his head. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update Group at Wei Hi Sheng Sheng. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2485 The Moon Rises from the Sea. Phone reading. Several. Do you want to go deeper and take a look? The original power inside is extremely rich and pure. If it can be absorbed and refined, it will be of great benefit to future cultivation. Yang Kai saw that the atmosphere had eased, and quickly suggested. Lan Xuan nodded and said, "I'm going to have a look. If senior brother Yang doesn't mind, how about walking together?" She said so. How could Yang Kai refuse? He could only nod and said, "It is a great honor for the princess to invite you." Lan Xuan smiled slightly, and said, "You can call Lan Xuan what senior brother Yang calls Little Seven, and you don't need to mention the word princess." Last time in the Land of Four Seasons, she had some contact with Yang Kai. At that time she felt that this person was extremely extraordinary, and now it seems that this is true. Although Yang Kai is now only Daoyuan third layer, and his cultivation base is behind Xiao Chen and others. However, Lan Xuan has a feeling that Yang Kai's future achievements will definitely be much higher than Xiao Chen's. No less experienced than Mo Xiaoqi, Lan Xuan's vision of seeing people is extremely accurate. At that moment, a group of people went together to the depths of the original sea. Not long after they flew, they suddenly heard a sound of exclamation from the front, and then, a dazzling light rose slowly from the original sea, dazzling like a bright moon. The fluctuations of the incomparably clear original power spread out all of a sudden. "The origin of the stars!" Xiao Chen exclaimed. Yang Kai's eyes were also shining, and he said in a low voice, "It's the complete origin of the stars." After entering Broken Star Sea for such a long time, although the source power has been absorbed and refined a lot, Yang Kai has never seen the complete star source. It is also beneficial, but it is undoubtedly much worse than the complete star source. When he came to the origin sea earlier, Yang Kai heard people say that there is a complete source of stars in this origin sea. Didn't expect to see it now. The complete source of stars appeared in one moment. Even a daughter of the great emperor like Lan Xuan took a short breath, and her pretty face showed fanaticism, which shows how attractive this thing is to warriors. But before Yang Kai and the others went to fight for something, countless fighters had already flown over in all directions, and all of them locked their eyes on the complete source of stars, chasing and fighting. There was a big fight, and the scene suddenly became bloody. In just 5 breaths of time, more than 20 warriors screamed and fell from the sky, falling into the Sea of Origin. But after 5 breaths, the complete source of the stars suddenly disappeared, and it was not known who snatched it away, and the rest of the people were angry and cursed. There really is a complete source of stars here. Yang Kai watched the scene from beginning to end, and couldn't help but let out a sigh. Origin Sea is a very special place. No one can explain exactly how it was formed and how it possesses so much original power. But throughout the ages, there has been a rumor about Origin Sea that only a few people know about. Lan Xuan said solemnly. What rumor? Yang Kai looked at her suspiciously. She is the daughter of Emperor Mingyu, there should be very few things in this world that she doesn't understand, and Yang Kai has always been suspicious about this Origin Sea. Hearing her mention it now, I couldn't help being interested. Xiao Chen also cast a consulting look at Lan Xuan. Obviously, they don't know the rumors about the original sea. Lan Xuan didn't answer right away, but turned to look at Mo Xiaoqi, and said, Sister Xiaoqi should have heard about this rumor from Lord Shuwu, right? Mo Xiaoqi's expression also turned serious, and he nodded and said, before coming to the Sea of Broken Stars, Father did tell me one thing. He said that the formation of the Origin Sea was directly related to the Lord who was besieged and fell here. Relation. What? Yang Kai and Xiao Chen were both shocked. Although Mo Xiaoqi didn't directly say who the fallen adult was, her meaning was already obvious. Heaven-devouring emperor. Who else but him? Lan Xuan said. Back then, that lord roamed the star realm without any rivals, and acted recklessly. He even broke through the barriers of the interface and went to those low-level star fields. All the star origins of Juxing were devoured. There are no less than a dozen large and small star fields destroyed in his hands, which shows how many star origins he has swallowed. After the battle among the emperors of the Broken Star Sea, he was killed this place, but after his death, the original power that was swallowed by him remained strangely, forming this huge original sea. There is such a thing. Xiao Chen's eyes widened suddenly, with an expression of disbelief. Yang Kai also turned pale when he heard it, and said in amazement, so, Yuan Sea is actually the place where the adult fell. Lan Xuan nodded and said, it can also be said, but the location of the original sea is erratic, and it does not appear every time, so no one knows where the adult died back then, but the formation of the original sea should be related to he has a direct relationship. No wonder there are so many sources of power, no wonder there are even complete sources of stars. Yang Kai sighed a few times, and the doubts of these days suddenly became clear. He was still skeptical before, how this sea of broken stars was so dilapidated, how could such a strange existence as the Sea of Origin be formed, but after listening to Lan Xuan's explanation, he finally understood why. The heaven-devouring emperor devoured countless origins, but those origins remained after his death, and the Sea of Origins also appeared. In other words, everyone is enjoying the legacy of the heaven-devouring emperor at this moment. Lan Xuan smiled slightly, and said, it is precisely because of the ignorance of that lord back then that later on many interface channels were closed by a few lords using their supernatural powers, and the strong in the star realm can no longer freely go to the lower. If it weren't for the star field of the same level, the origin of the stars today would not be so rare, making people flock to them. Yang Kai's heart moved when he heard this, and said, but how did I hear that there are still strong people who can go to those low-level star fields? When he was in the constant Luo starfield, Yang Kai had encountered a strong man who went down from the star boundary. Fortunately, there was Yang Yan at that time, and he was subdued by Yang Yan before the man could make any waves. Lan Xuan nodded and said, although the interface channel is closed, it doesn't mean that you can't go to low-level star fields. I heard from my father that each star field has its own guardians. These guardians guard the entire star field. Don't let the guarded star field be disturbed by powerful external forces. These guardians can enter and leave the star field they guard at will. If others want to enter, they can only find those extremely dangerous passages, but these channels are extremely rare in the entire star world, and most of them cannot withstand too much force, and may collapse at any time, and those people who want to go down have to kill themselves. Star Field Guardian, Yang Kai's dusty memory was opened with Lan Xuan's words. He had heard Yang Yan mention this word before. Yang Kai once thought that when he was successful in cultivation, he would become the guardian of the constant Luo star field. He quickly asked, "How can I become the guardian of a star field?" Lan Xuan shook her head and said, "I don't know about this, my lord father didn't mention it to me." After a pause, she looked at Yang Kai suspiciously and said, "Could it be that senior brother Yang came from those star fields?" Yang Kai is so keen on this kind of thing, it is inevitable that Lan Xuan will not think of something. Junior sister Lan really has a beautiful heart. Yang Kai smiled slightly, but did not deny it. Senior brother Yang is really a martial artist from those star fields. Lan Xuan was slightly startled, even Xiao Chen couldn't help but glance at him. It is rumored that those martial artists who can come to the star realm from the low-level star field are all talented and have a bright future. Although there are indeed many such people in the star realm, compared to the warriors born and bred in the entire star realm, the number of these people is still small. Lan Xuan has only heard of it, but has never seen it. No wonder, Yang Kai's cultivation speed can be so fast, it seems that the rumors are true, she thought to herself. While speaking, a group of people had reached the depths of the original sea. There were only a few Emperor Senior Realm occupations here, but now there are obviously many more people. Yang Kai brought everyone to the small island where he had landed before, but found that the small island was already full of people, and there was no place to stay. His face turned dark. And at this moment, a wave of clear source power suddenly came from somewhere. "The complete source of stars has appeared again," Xiao Chen whispered. Everyone looked around, and saw not far away, a ray of light slowly rising from the sea surface, forming a wonderful scene of a bright moon on the sea. Before the source fully appeared, countless warriors flocked to it. This is not over yet. After the complete original source appeared, another light appeared in another place, followed by the third, the fourth. In an instant, the sea surface was densely covered with such dazzling bright moons. Roughly counting, there are at least hundreds of them, and there are more appearing on the way. So many. Xiao Chen's face was shocked, but extremely excited. Lan Xuan frowned, and said with some anxiety, "If something goes wrong, there must be a demon. There has never been such a situation in Yuan Sea." Yang Kai also has a bad feeling, but with so many complete origins in front of him, who can't be tempted? "Master," Lu Yan called out in a low voice. Yang Kai gritted his teeth and said, "Let's grab it first." While speaking, he greeted Lan Xuan and said, "Junior sister Lan, let's split up." Lan Xuan nodded and said, "Senior brother Yang, be careful." "You too." Yang Kai nodded, and then led Mo Shaoqi Luyan and Zhang Ruoxi to rush forward. Above the origin sea, the situation is extremely chaotic, and people fall anytime, anywhere. A star source in front is being fought for by 4 or 5 people. These 4 or 5 people seem to belong to different forces, and they are fighting for a while. On the contrary, no one cares about the star source. As soon as Yang Kai moved, he came to the front of the source, stretched out his hand to grab it, and under the operation of the star refining art, he directly absorbed the source of the star and threw it into the mysterious small boundary. To be continued. Chapter 2486 The Emperor's Skeleton. Phone reading. Redex. It is already difficult to refine and absorb the broken original power, let alone the complete original power, so Yang Kai can only grab it now, and wait until he has time to deal with it in the future. After succeeding, Yang Kai immediately teleported and disappeared. Until this time, the few people who were huddling together realized that the origin of the stars had disappeared. Looking around, they couldn't see the trace of the thief at all. They were furious and cursed continuously. But at this moment, Luyan, Zhang Ruoxi and Mo Shaoqisanbi had already rushed towards another cluster of stars. Mo Shaoqi no longer hides her strength. When she competed with Lan Xuan before, she only used the secret technique she had learned, and didn't even show half of her skills. Now she wants to fight for the origin of the stars, so she summoned an army of monsters. Silver-haired ligers, flying bats, red fire unicorns, blue-eyed ink-scale dragons. All kinds of monsters surrounded her, roaring one after another, rushing forward aggressively, frightening the warriors in front to dodge again and again. Luyan's white tiger sky puppet was also released. Although it may be somewhat different from the real Emperor Senior Realm, it is not something that Daoyuan Realm warriors can contend with. The unique momentum of the Emperor Senior Realm makes countless warriors tremble with fear. Although Zhang Ruoxi didn't have any strong support, Her aura was extremely thick, and she didn't know what secret technique she had activated, so she suddenly exuded an astonishing aura. The nearby warriors backed away, and even Mo Xiaoqi's monsters trembled. Mo Xiaoqi glanced at Zhang Ruoxi suspiciously and was shocked. As the daughter of Emperor Beast Wu, Mo Xiaoqi was born able to communicate with monsters, so she could clearly feel the panic and fear of her pets at this moment. The bloodlines of her beast pets are extremely noble and pure, and many of them have the bloodline of the ancient Holy Spirit. Although they are thin, they are not comparable to ordinary monsters. They are all selected for her by the Emperor Beast Warrior himself. These beast pets reads, when facing the Emperor Senior Realm. You can also give it a go without any fear. But after Zhang Ruoxi activated that unique aura, these animal pets trembled with fear, as if they had been suppressed by nature. Some beast pets even whimpered at Zhang Ruoxi. Mo Xiaoqi was completely shocked, because these whimpers meant she was trying to please her, and sometimes her child lost her temper and deliberately ignored her beast pets. They will make such sounds to make themselves feel sorry for them, so as to gain their own attention. This method has been tried and tested. Read the full text of the latest chapter. But now, even in the face of Emperor Senior Realm, these beast pets like myself, who would not have the slightest timidity, actually expressed their favor to an inconspicuous little girl. What's happening here? Mo Xiaoqi hadn't paid much attention to Zhang Ruoxi before, because the latter had never said much and seemed unknown, but after such a disturbance, Mo Xiaoqi suddenly discovered that there seemed to be some secret hidden in Zhang Ruoxi. And this secret is obviously related to monsters. She was full of doubts, but it was inconvenient to ask, so she could only hide the doubts in her heart and wait for future understanding. Although the three women have different means, they are unstoppable when they join forces, and everyone retreats wherever they pass. After a short while, they snatched a group of star sources, and I don't know how the three of them negotiated. Mo Xiaoqi put the star sources into his space ring with a smile. Yang Kai watched for a while. Feeling that the three of them don't need to pay too much attention to them, they let go of their hands and feet to compete with others. At this moment, the source sea seemed to be boiling, and there were complete stars rising from below. Numerous warriors scrambled to fight. Relying on Yang Kai's proficiency in the power of space, his figure is erratic, and with the help of the star refining art, whenever a new star source appears, he can rush to the place in the first time, grab it and run away. Those warriors who were going to fight for the source of the stars still didn't understand what happened. The source has disappeared. As time passed, Yang Kai galloped across the origin sea alone, getting more and more star origins. He alone gained more than anyone else. In such a chaotic place, speed is the most important thing, and he, who is proficient in the power of space and can teleport, undoubtedly has an advantage that no one else has. Half a day later, the star origins that appeared from below the Sea of Origins gradually became rarer, and every time a group of origins appeared, hundreds of people rushed over. In such a situation, even Yang Kai is not very easy to play. He worked hard several times, and finally snatched a group of origin from the crowd, leaving hundreds of people there to suspect each other and fight. After half a day, the sea gradually calmed down. Everyone waited for a long time, but no more stars appeared. It seems that all the complete sources of stars have been snatched away. But the bloody battle was still going on, and all the warriors who had snatched the source of the stars became the targets of other people's attacks. For a while, the screams of the original sea kept coming and going, and countless elite warriors spilled blood here, and the original sea below was destroyed. Blood stained red. Yang Kai shook his figure a few times, and found Lu Yan and the others in the chaotic sky above the origin sea. I don't know if they are afraid of the terrifying strength displayed by Lu Yan and others, so the three of them live in peace, and no one pays their attention. After seeing Yang Kai coming, Mo Xiaoqi greeted him with a smile on his face, and said coquettishly, "Brother Yang, we have obtained a lot of origins." As soon as he said a word, countless fiery eyes casted from all around. Thousands of warriors have gathered in the Sea of Origin. In comparison, those who have obtained the source of stars undoubtedly account for only a small number of people. Most of them have not even seen what the source of stars is like. So Mo Xiaoqi's words undoubtedly touched the sensitive nerves of those people. And Mo Xiaoqi obviously knew that he had said something wrong, so he couldn't help sticking out his tongue. Yang Kai glanced around, snorted coldly, urged his own momentum without reservation, and with a bang, the void seemed to tremble. The expressions of those warriors who were staring at Mo Xiaoqi changed. They weighed their own strength, and then looked at Yang Kai's lineup, and then turned their eyes back unwillingly. Only then did Mo Xiaoqi whisper, "Each of us has obtained 2 or 3 groups of stars." She had an excited expression on her face, while Zhang Ruoxi and Lu Yan also blushed, obviously very satisfied with their harvest. Not bad. Yang Kai nodded with a smile. Each of them got 2 or 3 regiments. In other words, the 3 of them grabbed at least 7 or 8 regiments in total. This kind of harvest is already extremely rich. If they can find time to refine it, it will be of great benefit to their future growth, of help. But in comparison, Yang Kai's harvest is even greater. Although he hasn't counted them in detail, the origin of the stars he snatched by himself is at least as many as 30 regiments. A star of cultivation will only give birth to one source, and more than 30 clusters means that only 30 stars of cultivation can be owned. And there are more than 300 or 400 stars appearing in the entire Sea of Origin on this day. In other words, the Heaven Devourer Great Emperor devoured at least 300 or 400 cultivation stars back then in order to leave such a rich legacy after his death. Such an act, such an approach, cannot be described as devoid of conscience. It's not suitable to stay here for a long time. Since there is no source of stars, it's better to go first. Yang Kai turned his head and glanced around, frowning. Mo Xiaoqi said, "I will follow Brother Yang." Yang Kai nodded, and just as he was about to take them out of this place, there was a sudden movement in the origin sea below. The dark red sea water seemed to be drawn by some kind of pull, and slowly rotated, and within a short while, the entire original sea began to rotate. The subtle pulling force came, causing all the fighters in the sky above the origin sea to change their expressions. Looking fixedly, there was a sound of gasping for air. I saw that at the center of the original sea, a huge vortex gradually formed, and with the rotation of the original sea, the dark red sea water poured into the vortex continuously, and then disappeared, and I don't know where it went. The vortex seemed to be able to swallow this void, making everyone who saw this scene feel numb and cold. The influx of seawater is getting faster and faster, and it is getting more and more violent. In just a few breaths, the area of the original sea has shrunk by half. After a while, the entire Sea of Origin disappeared, and the seawater that filled the void was gone, leaving only a black hole-like existence in the center. Through the black hole, one can vaguely see a skeleton inside, sitting cross-legged, extremely pale. One can tell how many years have passed since one glance. If that's all, but on one of the fingers of the skeleton there is still a space ring residual. Everyone saw this scene, and everyone was stunned in place, with fiery eyes biting the space ring like leeches. Gudong gudong, there was a sound of swallowing saliva. What's the matter with this skeleton? Who died here? Looking at it this way, this person has been dead for at least tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years. The Battle of the Emperors also happened tens of thousands of years ago, and 5 great emperors fell in that battle. This is the Emperor's skeleton. That ring is the Emperor's space ring. Warriors from all directions gathered near the black hole, and within a short time, there was a sea of people all around, densely packed, and voices of discussion came from all directions. Most of them are guessing which emperor left the skeleton. Yang Kai felt chills in his heart. Because he had just heard from Lan Xuan that the Origin Sea was the place where the Heaven Devourer Great Emperor fell, and now he saw a skeleton left over tens of thousands of years ago, which made him have some guesses. Xiaoqi, Yang Kai called out softly, casting a questioning look at her. Mo Xiaoqi's face turned slightly pale, a little nervous and a little excited. I'm afraid this is really the bones of that adult. To be continued. Chapter 2487 Old Liar. Phone reading. Hearing what Mo Xiaoqi said, Yang Kai's gaze became hotter, even though he knew it was not suitable to stay here for a long time, but he couldn't bear to move his legs. He had already gained enough benefits in this sea of broken stars, but when he heard that this skeleton might be that of the Heaven Devourer Emperor, he couldn't help feeling a little greedy. Even he is like this, let alone other warriors. The space ring worn on the finger of the skeleton has already attracted everyone's attention. Get out of here, all the trash. A low shout suddenly exploded, and then a long spear came out of the sky, pierced through the void, and blasted towards the crowded place. The invincible spear intent enveloped Ruo Da's area, and all the warriors who noticed the spear intent all changed their expressions and retreated one after another. Boom boom boom. The spear flicked back and forth, clearing out an extremely spacious area on the side of the black hole. Most of the warriors saw that the situation was not good, and ran away early, but there were still a few people who reacted slowly. They were swept by the long spear, and they burst into a cloud of blood without even screaming. Yang Kai's face sank slightly, and when he looked around, he saw a man standing with a gun, unparalleled in majesty and majesty. It's this guy. Yang Kai recognized this person immediately. It was the well-dressed young man with a gun he met last time when he came to the depths of the Origin Sea. Liangqiu, you bastard, why are you so nervous? I hate your uncle. You dare to kill my junior brother, I will fight with you. Those warriors who were evaded looked at this well-dressed young man and began to curse. Some guys who recognized him had already called out his name, and some even clamored to avenge their junior brother, but they just shouted, just shout. Didn't dare to really go forward. The cultivation base of the other party's Emperor Senior Realm is placed there, isn't it courting death to go up? Liangqiu snorted coldly, put the long spear on his shoulder, and said arrogantly, what? Don't accept it. If anyone refuses to accept it, just roll over, I beat him until he is convinced. He glanced imposingly, and all the warriors who looked at him couldn't help but look away. Only then did Liangqiu spit to the side, and said disdainfully, a bunch of rubbish dare to covet the emperor's treasure. I really don't know what it means, I don't want to die so early and get out of here quickly. Liangqiu, don't be too arrogant. Even if you are the king of Beiman Mountain in the western regions, you still dare to be so arrogant in this sea of broken stars. Everyone in this world will be afraid of you. A loud shout came from somewhere in the crowd, and it was erratic, and it was unknown who was secretly sowing discord. But this person is obviously afraid of the strength of Liangqiu and the Beiman Mountain behind him. So he didn't dare to reprimand him face to face, so as not to be settled by Liangqiu. Liangqiu sneered softly and said, in the sea of broken stars, there is a gathering of heroes. Of course, I, Beiman Mountain alone, cannot be the enemy of the entire star field, but... He raised his brows, and hummed, if you add these friends woolen cloth. After the words were finished, 7 or 8 people stood up from all directions, and they all came to Liangqiu's side. Hiss! There was a sound of gasping for air. Everyone couldn't help but took a few steps back, their faces horrified. Because of the 7 or 8 people who stood up. They are all in the Emperor Senior Realm, and all of them have a strong aura, so they are not easy to provoke at first glance. Yang Kai frowned slightly, looked around and found that he knew most of the 7 or 8 Emperor Senior stages. The red ghost that I saw in the original sea before, Yao Si. Impermanence, as well as the chubby fat man are naturally on the list. Although Yang Kai doesn't know the rest of them, they are undoubtedly the elite disciples of the major sects in the Star Realm, and they got a chance in this sea of broken stars. Promoted to Emperor Zun. These few people gathered in one place, although there are not many people, they already have full deterrent force, because they are Emperor Senior Realm. You, bully the weak. Someone shouted angrily. That's right, those treasures are destined to live there, why do you drive us away? If we don't leave, we will be killed if we have the guts. Don't be afraid of them, there are only a few of them, but we have thousands of people. My generation of warriors should advance bravely in the torrent and never back down. There was a sound of shouting one after another. Obviously those warriors were unwilling to retreat, even if they were facing 7 or 8 Emperor Senior Realm, they still had to stay here to see if there was a chance to get the space ring of the skeleton. If one is really destined to obtain the space ring, it is very possible to turn around and go straight to the heavens. Such opportunities are rare, and it is definitely worth taking a risky gamble. Since you don't retreat, then die. Yao Si suddenly said lightly, and with one hand, black air filled the body surface, accompanied by the frightening sound of howling ghosts and wolves, one after another black air it shot out of his body like a living thing. As soon as those black chi-yu left his body, they turned into hideous ghost-like things, which opened their teeth and claws and rushed towards the surrounding warriors. Many warriors are not weak, and those who can enter the Sea of Broken Stars are at least at the first level of Daoyuan. After nearly 3 years of experience, everyone has made great progress. So when Yao Si made a move, he naturally didn't want to sit still and resisted one after another. For a moment, the radiance of secret treasures and secret techniques shined brightly. But it is very strange that all the attacks have little effect on those ghosts. Only a few people stopped the black energy with their amazing cultivation and profound background, and the others were invaded by the black energy as soon as they met each other. Kung Fu became mad and frantic, his eyes widened, as if he had seen some terrible scene, and he yelled and shouted. After a short while, all these shouting warriors fell on their backs, bleeding from their 7 orifices and losing their breath. As soon as Yao Si made a move, he directly took the lives of hundreds of people, and from his appearance, it seemed that he was just trying a small knife, and he hadn't used much strength yet. Everyone was shocked. If someone else makes a move, they dare to yell and curse a few times, taking advantage of the situation to encourage others to fight back. But who is Yao Si? He is the son of Emperor Yuhun. To scold him in front of him is to scold Emperor Yuhun. Who would dare to do that? Not to mention fighting back. For a moment, all warriors backed away in fear. Over there, Liangqiu snorted coldly. I'll give you a chance, but if you don't leave, you'll have to suffer a little bit. You're really a bunch of scumbags. The faces of many martial artists who were scolded were ugly, and a cavity of anger surged in their hearts, but they did not dare to refute anything. Yao Si's attack directly caused everyone to retreat several tens of feet away, leaving only a few people around the black hole. The unrestrained red ghost with long fiery red hair smiled and said, there are still some guys who don't have long eyes left behind, so why don't they cry when they see the coffin? Liangqiu hummed. If you dare to stay, you naturally feel that you have the ability. Since you have the ability, you can't blame others for being killed by Lao Su. While speaking, he looked around with eagle-like eyes, with a look of malicious intentions, as if he wanted to find someone to scare others. After watching for a while, he was slightly stunned, and said, damn, they are all really capable people. He depressingly found that the warriors staying here are basically Emperor Senior Realm, or are protected by Emperor Senior Realm. Although he is strong, he does not want to easily have any conflict with Emperor Senior Realm. The realm is not yet stable. If you suffer a little trauma, the realm may slip. Yang Kai also took the opportunity to glance, and soon, his eyes lit up and he looked in one direction. Because he saw Sha Sheng from Qingyang Temple over there. More than a month ago, he came to Yuansi and met Xiao Bai and Marong Xiao. From their mouths, Yang Kai learned that Sha Sheng was promoted to Emperor Senior Stage, but he didn't know where to promote. I saw him at this moment, and Sha Sheng's aura was strong and public, and he had obviously broken through to the level of the Emperor. Xiao Bai and Marong Xiao stood beside Sha Sheng. When there were many people before, Yang Kai hadn't noticed them yet, but now that most of them have retreated, Sha Sheng and others are very conspicuous. Seemingly aware of Yang Kai's gaze, Sha Sheng and the other three also looked towards this side, and under their gazes, Sha Sheng grinned, revealing a mouthful of snow-white teeth. Marong Xiao and Xiao Bai also slightly nodded at Yang Kai, but in this situation, it's not good for everyone to say hello rashly. In the southern region, apart from the three remaining warriors from the Qingyang Temple, there are naturally Xiao Chen and Princess Lanzun. Xiao Chen is also an emperor now, and the status of Princess Lan Xuan is extraordinary. The two of them are not afraid of Yao Si at all. Yang Kai did not see Zhuang Bufan from Wuhua Palace and Luo Yuan from Bafangmen. These two are the elites among the elites of the Southern Territory. They performed extraordinary in the Land of Four Seasons before. I don't know why they didn't come to the Sea of Origin. However, with their qualifications, even if they don't come to the Sea of Origin, their future achievements will not. It will be too low, especially for Luo Yuan. Bafangmen is just a little-known small sect in the southern region, even inferior to that of Chenyizong, but Luo Yuan, who was born in this small sect, has aptitude against the sky. In the Land of Four Seasons, it was able to fight evenly with Impermanence. Now that Impermanence is Emperor Zun, Luo Yuan probably won't be so bad. There are not many other people left. Either alone, or in twos and threes. There are only a dozen people in total, except for those from the Southern Territory. Yang Kai doesn't know anyone else. Ziyu from the Ice Heart Valley in the Northern Territory, Tian from the Eastern Territory. Yang Kai didn't even see Lanhe in Wolf Valley. Brother Yang. Just as Yang Kai was looking around, Mo Shaoqi suddenly poked Yang Kai and said in a low voice, "Look, that old liar." What? Yang Kai was stunned, and looked over there in the direction of her finger. The next moment, his eyes suddenly widened, staring at the person over there, showing an unbelievable expression. Am I dazzled? While speaking, he rubbed his eyes vigorously. Brother Yang, don't you forget this old liar. Seeing his strange reaction, Mo Shaoqi couldn't help asking in a low voice. I remember, of course I remember. Yang Kai nodded quickly, and said in a daze, it's just, why is he here? To be continued. Chapter 2488. You can't do this even if you want to die. There is only one person who will be called an old liar by Mo Shaoqi. In Fenggalan City, an old man who lied to her Yuanjing. This old man had been in the black market all year round in Fenggalan City, and his ability to deceive was superb. That time when the 5-color pagoda of the Star God Palace was opened, this old liar also went in, and sold his so-called ancestral 9-turn resurrection pill to many warriors. As an emperor-level alchemist, Yang Kai has never heard of such a thing as the 9-turn resurrection pill. Later, Yang Kai also dealt with this old liar several times. The most recent time was when Fenggalan City was surrounded by demon energy. This old liar came from the nearby forest city to ask for help. This old guy gave Yang Kai a very strange feeling, and there was a strange feeling everywhere. Yang Kai has always felt that there is some secret hidden in him, but this old guy comes and goes without a trace. He has a look of a dragon who sees the beginning and the end, making it impossible for Yang Kai to find out. As time passed, Yang Kai gradually forgot about him. I never thought that I would see it again in this original sea. It's just that this time the image of the old liar is quite different from before. Before, he was dressed in rags, with withered yellow hair, a mouth full of yellow teeth, disgusting, just like a beggar. But now this old guy's clothes are bright, his hair is well groomed, he is wearing a soap-colored robe, and with that kind face and soft eyes, he has an air of immortality. Yang Kai almost stared out his own eyeballs. He never expected that the changes before and after a person would be so huge, and he didn't know where this old liar made his fortune in the past few years, and his face became so rosy. What shocked Yang Kai even more was that this old liar already had a Daoyuan 3rd layer cultivation base, which was comparable to his own. This discovery made Yang Kai hardly believe it. When he was in Fenggalan City, this old guy was only at the Void King realm. Why did he already have such a powerful cultivation after not seeing him in just a few years? How can his aptitude be so heaven-defying? If this is the case, why did it suddenly erupt when he was old? If his aptitude was really so powerful, it should have been revealed as early as when he was young. Yang Kai couldn't think of it, and felt that this old guy was weird. Thinking about it, Yang Kai suddenly felt cold and realized a problem that he had ignored. When he checked the surroundings earlier, he didn't find him for some reason, and he didn't wake up until Mo Shaoqi reminded him. Or rather, he saw it, but didn't realize it was someone he knew. This kind of situation happened to him, making Yang Kai really unbelievable. Just when Yang Kai was suspicious and didn't know who this old liar was, there was a loud shout from the other side, saying, "It's you again." Yang Kai turned his head and found that Liang Chu from the western region's Beiman Mountain was glaring at him angrily. He sneered and said, "Where's your big cousin? Didn't he come with you? Big cousin left beforehand." Yang Kai said, "Nonsense, do you have something to do with him?" Liang Chu snorted, "It's okay for me to find him, but you have something to do." Yang Kai wondered, "What can I do?" Liang Chu said, "Boy, don't think that you can ignore the powerful in the world because you have some ability. Before, I was eager to refine and absorb the origin, and I didn't want to be as knowledgeable as you. Now that you dare to appear here, then stop. I blame Ben Xiao for being rude to you." While speaking, he shook the body of the gun and pointed at Yang Kai. The gun intent suddenly filled the air. Yang Kai sneered in his heart, knowing that this guy couldn't find a suitable person to make a move, so he could only pinch this soft persimmon like himself, so as to make an example of others. He didn't show any fear, but just looked at Liang Chu lightly and said, "What do you mean by pointing a gun at me? Are you going to shoot at me?" Liang Chu said angrily, "Boy, I know the reason why I asked. I think you have good aptitude, and it's not easy to practice. I'll give you a chance. Now take a few of your female companions and get out of here, otherwise you will lose face later, and you will never even think about it for the rest of your life." I raised my head in front of these beauties. When he yelled, his heart was full of slander, because Yang Kai was surrounded by thin and fat, and there were several beauties, and there was even a 7 or 8-year-old female doll, which really made people envy and hate. You want to bully the weak with more. HMPH, I am not afraid of you. If you have the guts, you can call and see who will be ashamed later. Yang Kai stood up to Liang Chu's power, and shouted righteously, "If you want Ben to go away, you are dreaming. My generation of warriors would rather die standing up than live on their knees." Okay, this little brother is right, we support you. Little brother, don't be afraid of him. If he dares to attack you, we will go up and fight him. Yes, we are all your backup, don't be afraid of him. A group of warriors who were driven away in the distance started yelling, not knowing whether they were booing or really cheering for Yang Kai, but it is estimated that the former is more. No matter what background Yang Kai is, whether he has any skills, he dared to resist Liang Chu's atrocities now. It is naturally exciting and extremely inspiring. As for whether Yang Kai is dead or alive in the end, that's not what they care about. Liangqiu's face was gloomy, his nose was crooked with anger, he couldn't hold back his face in front of everyone, and shouted angrily, "Okay, since you have such backbone, then this young master will help you." With a shock of his long spear, a ball of light exploded, his body was wrapped in the light, and he stabbed towards the place where Yang Kai was like lightning, piercing through the void, as if he had traveled from the ancient times. Sha Sheng's face changed slightly over there. Now that he has been promoted to Emperor Zun, he can naturally feel the ferocity of Liangqiu's move. Even he himself is not sure that he can take it 100%. What's more, Yang Kai who only has the Dao origin realm. Moreover, there are several female companions around Yang Kai. Under this blow, Yang Kai is either dead or injured. In the blink of an eye, he wanted to rescue her. But before he could make a move, Yang Kai turned around and went forward to meet Liangqiu without retreating. The distance between the two quickly narrowed, and a look of astonishment flashed in the eyes of Liangqiu, who came aggressively, not knowing what the hell Yang Kai was doing. "Brother Yang." Mo Shaoqi was taken aback, and hurriedly shouted, "Don't be reckless." Zhang Ruoxi's face turned pale, and she fell limply. Lu Yan raised her hand to support her, with a calm expression. Only she is full of confidence in Yang Kai, she doesn't feel that Yang Kai is worse than the Emperor Senior stage. Since Yang Kai dares to rush over like this, she must have something to rely on. Seeing that Yang Kai and Liangqiu were about to collide, Mo Shaoqi yelled heart-piercingly, "If you dare to hurt my brother Yang, I will ask Daddy to slaughter you all over the Beiman Mountain." Mo Shaoqi, who has always been docile, suddenly burst out with an unimaginable hostility from his delicate body, and his exposed skin was covered with animal patterns in an instant, making him look extremely wild. Liangqiu laughed loudly, and said, "Where did the little girl come from? She didn't even have hair to dare to speak so shamelessly. So what if I killed you, brother Yang, today?" As the chief disciple of Beiman Mountain in the western regions, he is very proud of himself. Among his peers, few people can catch his eyes. Feeling apprehensive, he became more and more decisive in his actions. On the tip of the spear, there was a bright light, full of murderous intent. Yang Kai shouted angrily, "Eat my overlord fist." While speaking, he punched Liangqiu's spear hard. "Hiss, is this kid crazy? How dare you fight against Liangqiu's spear's secret treasure with flesh and blood? This is courting death. It's over, I'm afraid there will be nothing left to be bombarded. It's pitiful. If you think you have some ability to be so rampant, you will end up miserable. Junior brother, you must remember that you must not be like this person when you walk in the star world in the future. We men must be able to bend and stretch." Senior brother said yes, junior brother wrote it down. Not only did the warriors who shouted to support Yang Kai earlier, and it was his strong backup, they still sighed on the spot, thinking that Yang Kai would definitely die this time. Not only did they think so, even those Emperor Senior realm also thought that Yang Kai would die. There are many evils, after all, no matter how powerful the flesh and blood are, how can they compete head-on with the secret treasure? Liangqiu's long spear was a Daoyuan level top-grade secret treasure, unparalleled in sharpness, combined with his current Emperor Senior realm's powerful cultivation, a single shot could smash a mountain, not to mention Yang Kai's body. Sha Sheng was in a hurry, but he had no chance to rescue them, because Yang Kai and Liangqiu were too fast, and they couldn't wait for the moment when he made a move. "I don't know what it means." Yao Si snorted coldly, turned his eyes away, and he didn't bother to pay attention to a dying person. But Mo Shaoqi, who was in an abnormal state over there, made him squint his eyes slightly, and suddenly felt a sense of uneasiness. "Boy, you can't do this even if you want to die." Liangqiu stared blankly at Yang Kai's direction and muttered, although he was so excited by Mo Shaoqi's words that he really wanted to kill Yang Kai, but when he saw Yang Kai with a decisive posture, he still couldn't help but withdrew a little bit of strength. Boom! An explosion sounded, and the light was bright, swallowing Yang Kai and Liangqiu together, making it difficult for people to see the situation inside. Liangqiu, who thought he had the chance to win, suddenly rolled his eyes, his spear shook violently, and he pulled out blossoming spears, which suddenly covered a huge area in front of him. Bang bang bang! Fist shadows all over the sky also erupted, colliding with the countless spears. "Fuck!" Liangqiu scolded angrily, his face became serious all of a sudden. He desperately urged his own source power, but still felt a huge force coming from the front, and he couldn't help but retreated more than 10 feet. Another figure also retreated rapidly at the same time. When the dust settled, everyone in the void stared wide-eyed. The scene of Yang Kai being blasted into pieces did not appear in their imagination, because at this moment Yang Kai was fine, except for the bloody flesh on his fist, there was no other injury. And the injury on his fist also recovered in a very short period of time. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn update group at woishao.at. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2489 Saint Soul Seal. Quiet, ghostly quiet. Wow, the whole void exploded in an instant, everyone was shocked, their eyes were glazed over, that young man at Daoyuan realm was really alright after Liangqiu's ferocious blow. Wow, can't it, block it, it really brightened my eyes. Is this fucking Daoyuan realm? Is this kid hiding his cultivation? Ha ha ha, Liangqiu is so embarrassing. Liang Chu only felt numbness in his mouth, chills all over his body, and a feeling of dizziness in his head. He stared blankly at his long spear, then at Yang Kai, and said with difficulty, "Boy, are you human?" There was a sense of horror in the voice, obviously until now he couldn't believe that Yang Kai could really fight with his fists, how could such a thing be done? And he is still Daoyuanjing. I don't like to hear what you said, am I not a human being or a ghost? Yang Kai snorted coldly. The surrounding Emperor Senior stages all looked at Yang Kai again at this moment, as if they wanted to get to know him again. Daoyuan realm can fight against Emperor Senior realm, they have never even heard of such a thing, even they themselves can't do Yang Kai's level when they are in Daoyuan third layer. How strong is this kid's physical body, to be able to face Liangqiu's long spear head-on, and the speed of recovery is a bit too amazing. Previously, his fist was clearly covered with blood and flesh, but in the blink of an eye, it was already intact, and the blood that this kid bleed out was not red, but a pale golden color, and the blood contained unimaginable vitality and chi and blood fluctuations. Yao Si's eyes trembled slightly. As the son of the great emperor, he has always felt that he is superior to others, and he cannot look down on warriors of the same generation, because no matter in terms of aptitude, strength or background, no one in the world can surpass him. When Liang Chu made a move earlier, he also thought that Yang Kai would surely die, so he didn't pay any more attention. But now he realizes that he was dead wrong. There may be some people in this world who cannot surpass themselves, but in terms of aptitude and strength among warriors of the same level, I absolutely cannot see all the mountains and small things at a glance. This young man in the Daoyuan state in front of him is the best example. You kid, you're really weird. Liang Chu looked at Yang Kai seriously for a while, then shook his head and said. Yang Kai hummed, "Do you want to come again? If you want to come, I will accompany you to the end." Don't come, don't come. Liangqiu shook his head like a rattle, you have the right to stay here. The reason why he shot at Yang Kai before was only because his cultivation was not as high as Emperor Senior, and all the people who stayed here were Emperor Senior realm, or had Emperor Senior realm as companions, only Yang Kai and his group were Taoists. The source environment is extremely eye-catching. He naturally wanted to teach Yang Kai a lesson, so that he could show the other people who were driven away, and let them know the serious consequences of staying here without strength. Who knew that Li Wei could not succeed, but was shocked by Yang Kai. If this fight continues, if he wins, it will appear that he is invincible. If he loses, he will have no face to walk in the Star Realm in the future. Liang Chu has no certainty of defeating Yang Kai at all. Except, Yang Kai clasped his fists. At this moment, Lu Yan suddenly shouted coquettishly, "Master, there is something wrong with little seventh sister." Yang Kai hurriedly turned his head to look, only to see that Mo Shaoqi's beautiful eyes glowed with icy cold light, his eyes were extremely sharp, and an astonishing aura emanated from her delicate body. The mountain and river clock is somewhat similar, it seems to come from the ancient wilderness. All the people who felt this breath changed their faces slightly. Because no matter what it is, it will become extraordinary when it is involved with the word wild. At this moment, Mo Shaoqi was staring straight at Liangqiu, her body full of murderous intent, so thick that the void around her was cut with a chirping sound. Her sharp eyes suddenly became indifferent, with a kind of indifference to the common people, contemptuous. The taste of the world makes people frightened. At the same time, the ugly butterfly imprint on her cheek danced lightly, as if alive, fluttering its wings. With the flickering of the butterfly's wings, the extremely violent aura spread, and everyone felt their breathing stagnate, as if they were being pressed against their chests by a mountain. What's the situation? Yang Kai was shocked. He also didn't know why Mo Shaoqi had such an abnormality suddenly, there was no sign at all before, and he only discovered it when he heard Lu Yan's cry. Not good. Princess Lan Xuan, who was standing not far away, turned pale, her beautiful eyes looked at Mo Xiaoqi tremblingly, and exclaimed. Be good. Liang Chu couldn't help wiping the cold sweat off his brow, and said with some guilt, this girl is watching me do something, why does she look like she wants to eat people? Even though he has already been promoted to Emperor Senior Realm, at this moment he couldn't help being stared at by Mo Xiaoqi, his scalp was numb, his hands and feet were cold, and a feeling of imminent death lingered in his heart, which made him nervous. Isn't it because you want to deal with her brother Yang? Lan Xuan sipped low, gritted his teeth and said, Xiaoqi must have thought that senior brother Yang would be killed by you, so he became like this out of impatience. Liangqiu swallowed his saliva and said, it's none of my business, that kid rushed here by himself, even if he died, he can't blame anyone. Then again, what is the origin of this little girl's film? She was so arrogant before, and said if you want to slaughter my whole family in Beiman Mountain, it's really laughable. Although he was smiling, the smile was extremely stiff, and he was obviously frightened and uneasy. Mo Xiaoqi suddenly seemed to be a different person, and the aura he exuded was so astonishing, obviously he had a great background, and he didn't know what his background was. Lan Xuan stared at him bitterly, and said in a concentrated voice, her surname is Mo, and she comes from the eastern region. Mo, Eastern Territory. Liang Chu's complexion changed slightly when he heard the words, and after he muttered, he suddenly understood something, and exclaimed in shock, no way, could it be that she belongs to that lord? It's good that you understand. Lan Xuan replied angrily. At this moment, she was dizzy, even the tip of her nose was covered with sweat. She looked at Mo Xiaoqi uneasily, and kept calling her softly when she was talking to Liangqiu, but has no effect. Brother Yaoci, you are not kind. Liangqiu looked at Yaoci with a mournful face, you are all from the eastern region, why didn't you remind me? Yaoci is the son of Emperor Yuehun, and Mo Xiaoqi is the daughter of Emperor Beastwu. Both emperors live in the eastern region. It is unbelievable to say that Yaoci doesn't know Mo Xiaoqi and Liangqiu, but this guy didn't say anything before. Let yourself go to mock Mo Xiaoqi. Remembering that he said before that Mo Xiaoqi didn't even have all his hair, Liangqiu broke out in a cold sweat. If these words reached the ears of the Beastwu Emperor, he would have to be stripped of a layer of skin. If he had known that there was a daughter of Emperor Beastwu in Yongkai's camp, how could he have done such a stupid thing? Yaoci said lightly, although they are all in the eastern region, I have never seen her before. How can I remind you? It seems that he really doesn't know Mo Xiaoqi, but he does know Lan Xuan, so it's impossible for him to lie as Lan Xuan. Lan Xuan yelled for a while, and found that Mo Xiaoqi was still unresponsive, so he couldn't help stamping his foot and said, Liangqiu, if something happens to Xiaoqi, your entire family will be slaughtered in Beiman Mountain. Liangqiu's expression changed, and his mood suddenly sank to the bottom. Mo Xiaoqi said this before, but he didn't take it seriously, but now Lan Xuan said it again, even if he didn't want to take it seriously. It's just, this matter really doesn't have much to do with him, Liangqiu feels wronged in his heart. Junior sister Lan, what happened to Xiaoqi? Yang Kai observed for a while, but couldn't figure out what happened to Mo Xiaoqi. All he knew was that her aura was getting more and more amazing, and the butterfly marks on her cheeks were getting bigger and bigger. It became more and more vivid, and the imprint had already flown from her cheeks, constantly dancing around her delicate body. With the passage of time, this pitch-black butterfly changed drastically very quickly, and now it is the size of a person, looking extremely weird. Lan Xuan said, Sister 7 has unlocked the seal of the Holy Soul. Holy Soul seal? A group of people looked at her curiously, wanting to know what was going on. Master Beastwu occasionally got the spirit of an ancient Holy Spirit butterfly in his early years. The body of the butterfly has been lost, but only the spirit has been preserved intact. After the vicissitudes of the ages, he is very weak. Lord Beastwu signed a contract with him. A soul contract, when Xiaoqi was 3 years old, sealed the Huan Tiandi in Xiaoqi's body, allowing the Huan Tiandi's spirit to protect Xiaoqi's safety before she grew up, and as a price, the spirit of Huan Tiandi can devour a little of Xiaoqi's soul power to survive. This is the Holy Soul Seal. The spirit of the ancient Holy Spirit. Liangqiu gasped. The expressions of the rest of the people also changed drastically. The ancient Holy Spirits have always been just legends, so many people present can count those ancient Holy Spirits with their own eyes. But now, in this void, the spirit of an ancient Holy Spirit unexpectedly appeared, and it was sealed in a person's body. How strong this spirit is, no one knows, but judging from the commotion when it was unsealed, its strength is not something that these people present can compete with. And to be able to seal this spirit into his daughter's body and let it protect Mo Shaoqi's growth, what amazing cultivation level does Emperor Beast Warrior have? Only in the most dangerous time, Shaoqi will untie the seal. This should be the first time she untie it, and she can't control it at all. When Lan Xuan said this, he glanced at Yang Kai intentionally or unintentionally, some taste of blame. She was also shocked in her heart. Mo Shaoqi had shown that she cared about Yang Kai before, she thought this little girl was against her, but now she knows that she really cares about Yang Kai, otherwise she wouldn't be able to untie herself of the seal. She probably thought that Yang Kai would die, so she wanted to break the seal to avenge Yang Kai, but she didn't know that Yang Kai was unharmed, but she herself had lost consciousness and was controlled by the spirit of Huan Tiandi. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at Cha Shang Meng Sao. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is the author's greatest motivation. Chapter 2490. How about letting the old man try? Phone reading. What's so great about this Huan Tiandi? Can we join hands to suppress it? Liang Chu asked nervously while wiping off his sweat. Pin Shu Wang WWW. Versus ODTW. COM. Lan Xuan sneered and said, among the ancient holy spirits, Huan Tiandi's attack power is considered the weakest, even inferior to ordinary 10th order monsters. Really? Liangqiu was overjoyed when he heard that. If he couldn't even compare to ordinary 10th order monsters, then what was he afraid of? With so many strong people present, anyone could suppress them. Lan Xuan continued, but it is naturally proficient in illusion. When it fully appears, it can turn the world upside down and change places. Its illusion is difficult for even the emperor to guard against. The ancient holy spirit, which one is easy to provoke? Liangqiu said with a dark face, I think I should run away. This little girl has been staring at me, which makes my heart creepy. Escape. Lan Xuan looked at him coldly, where can you escape to? Shaoqi has identified you at this moment, even if you escape to the ends of the earth, it is a dead word. If you don't escape, are you waiting to die? Liangqiu said angrily. Lan Xuan said, if you don't escape, only you will die. If you escape, everyone present will suffer first. Everyone's expression changed upon hearing this. Sha Sheng said in surprise, Princess Lan Xuan is serious. Lan Xuan said, don't be fooled by the beautiful figure of the magic butterfly, among the ancient holy spirits, it is also the kind that kills. Then what should we do now? Yao Si asked. Although he was the son of the great emperor, he really didn't know about the sealing of the holy soul, and Lan Xuan didn't know why he knew this information. Lan Xuan was silent for a while, and said, there is a way to stabilize the situation. He was talking. She turned her beautiful eyes to Liangqiu. Liangqiu frowned and said, look at what I'm doing. Although it has something to do with me that she became like this, it doesn't have much to do with it, right? Besides, I don't have the ability to reseal the spirit of the Holy Spirit. Lan Xuan smiled faintly, and said, you don't need to seal it, Shaoqi just wants you to die now. If you die, maybe her emotions will calm down by itself. Want me to die? Liangqiu was terrified, couldn't help but fell several steps, stared at Lan Xuan and said, you want me to die? Why do you want me to die? Lan Xuan snorted, this is the only way I can think of. Liangqiu said angrily, the hornet's tail needles. The snake's mouth and teeth are neither poisonous, but the most poisonous to a woman's heart. Lan Xuan actually made such a proposal, which naturally made him unacceptable. How could he die so easily after being promoted to Emperor Senior Realm in this sea of broken stars? Boy, pay attention to what you say. Xiao Chen shouted, His Royal Highness let you die to give you face, don't be ignorant. Liang Chu sneered. Then she wants you to die, will you die or not? Xiao Chen said, His Royal Highness has always been educated and reasonable, and would not make such a request to me. Avoid the important and take the light, you have no guts. What right do you have to tell me what to do? Liangqiu smiled contemptuously. Xiao Chen was furious, and swung his long sword. Pointing to Liangqiu, he said, today you have to die if you die, and you have to die if you don't die. It's not up to you. Liang Chu wanted to say something more, but Yao Si suddenly turned around, stood in front of him, and said indifferently, Brother Liang is my friend, whoever wants his life must pass my test first. Liang Chu, who was standing behind him, didn't seem to have expected that Yao Si would stand up and speak to him at this moment. With a slightly warm heart, he said in a low voice, "Thank you, Brother Yaosi, but speaking of this matter, it has something to do with me, so I'd better run quickly. It's best to lure this girl away. If you can't, you should be careful." "Good," Yaosi said. "Although it has something to do with you, it has even more to do with that kid named Yang." Liang Chu was stunned, and said, "That's right. This girl has become like this, it's all because of that kid." While speaking, he shouted angrily at Yang Kai, "Boy, you can't stay out of this matter." Yang Kai snorted, "When will I stay out of the matter?" Liang Chu said, "Since this girl values you so much, even to break the seal of the Holy Soul, why don't you go up and appease her, maybe she can regain her consciousness." Liang Chu also just mentioned it casually, but he didn't mean to say it, but it sounded intentional. Yang Kai's expression changed, and he looked towards Lan Xuan. "Junior sister Lan, is this method feasible?" Lan Zundai frowned slightly, and said, "I don't know, maybe I can give it a try, but as soon as possible, the seal is about to be completely released." Yang Kai nodded. Without any hesitation, he flew towards Mo Shaoqi as soon as he moved. In the void, countless pairs of eyes were looking at Yang Kai nervously, and the conversations of the people here naturally spread to the ears of those Daoyuan warriors. Although most people didn't understand what happened, it seemed very seriously. Now that Yang Kai took the initiative to approach Mo Shaoqi to find a solution, it naturally attracted everyone's attention. As Yang Kai approached, he softly called Mo Shaoqi, but there was no response after calling a few times, and he immediately knew that Mo Shaoqi should really lose consciousness at this moment. He could only release his divine sense carefully, hoping to recover it attracted the attention of Mo Shaoqi's ontological consciousness. Soon, Yang Kai came not far from Mo Shaoqi, and reached out to touch her. In the void, there is silence, everyone is holding their breath, only the sound of heartbeats one after another, and pairs of eyes are fixed on Yang Kai's movements, unwilling to miss the slightest. Seeing that Yang Kai's hand was about to touch Mo Shaoqi's body, Mo Shaoqi's delicate body suddenly trembled, and the wings of the magical butterfly flying around her spread out, and an invisible force filled the air all at once. "Open." Yang Kai froze in place for an instant, his eyes lost. "It's broken." Lan Zunfang's heart sank, and she could tell at a glance that Yang Kai must be an illusion, and she couldn't extricate herself from it. "Trash, I still need to run away." Liang Chu shouted angrily, with a disappointed expression on his face. At this moment, Yang Kai's godless eyes suddenly moved, and then he opened his mouth, blood spurting wildly at the same time. He hurriedly retreated, and directly opened a distance of hundreds of feet from Mo Shaoqi, waiting to stand still again after that. His face was pale for a while, and his clothes were soaked with sweat. "It's amazing." Yang Kaixin looked at Mo Shaoqi with lingering fear. He obviously didn't feel anything before, but the scenery in front of him suddenly changed. In the whole world, there was only a huge butterfly dancing around. Totally hooked. He knew that it was the illusion of Huan Tiandi, but he just couldn't get rid of it. If Wen Shenlian hadn't played a role at the critical moment, allowing him to have a little bit of clarity, he would definitely have no good end. His soul power is extremely strong, not even as good as the General Emperor Senior Realm, but even he can't resist the illusion of Huan Tiandi, and no one in the room can compete, and it seems that Mo Shaoqi's seal is still there. It has not been fully untied. If it is really all untied, this place will definitely be devastated. If all the elites of the 4 regions of the Star Realm were exhausted here, the entire Star Realm would not be able to recover its vitality for at least 500 years. "Junior sister Lan, is there no other way to seal?" Yang Kai asked after panting, looking at Lan Xuan. With a look of despair on his face, Lan Xuan slowly shook his head. "Let's run quickly, everyone is destined to live and die, wealth is in the sky." Liangqiu said with a dark face, "Everyone, he is the one who wants to escape the most. After all, Mo Shaoqi has been staring at him since just now." The rest of the people had nothing to do. Hearing the words, they looked solemn and secretly urged their source of strength, as if they were ready to run away at any time. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from afar. "If you don't mind, how about letting the old man try?" As soon as this statement came out, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. After seeing who the speaker was, everyone couldn't help showing weird expressions. Because it was the old liar. Everyone present, except for Yang Kai and Mo Shaoqi who had dealt with this old liar a few times, it was the first time for everyone to see him, but at the moment he looked like a fairy, and he was abducted. It doesn't matter. If he stood up and said this in the same image as before, I'm afraid he would be blasted to pieces immediately. Lan Xuan looked at the old liar, a trace of doubt flashed in her beautiful eyes. She faintly felt that she had seen this person somewhere, but when she thought about it carefully, her mind went blank. Yao Si's expression was also solemn for a moment. Although he felt different from Lan Xuan, the old man actually gave him an extremely uneasy feeling. When he swept over with his spiritual sense, he was shocked to find that the place where the old man was empty. In other words, with his Emperor Senior Realm cultivation base, he couldn't detect the existence of this old man. This kind of thing shocked him even more than when Yang Kai used his physical body to receive a blow from Liangqiu. Where did you jump out, old fellow? Why didn't I see you before? Liangqiu's eyes were bigger than eggs. Found him. Hee, the old man has been here all this time. I'm afraid that my humble cultivation won't catch the young master's eyes, so naturally I didn't pay attention. The old liar smiled slightly. Weird. Liangqiu had a puzzled look on his face. It's true that weird things happen every year, especially this year. As the old liar spoke, he walked towards Mo Shaoqi step by step. With Yang Kai's lessons learned, he had a calm and fearless expression, which was admirable. Yang Kai said with a sullen face, "Old man, aren't you selling panacea and elixir? Do you also understand the matter of the Holy Spirit seal?" No more than others, Yang Kai knew a little bit about this old liar, so he was completely worried about him. This old guy is very good at cheating and abducting, who knows what he is going to do when he comes out now. It doesn't matter if he dies or not, but if it implicates Mo Shaoqi, or even worsens Mo Shaoqi's condition, then it will be troublesome. The old man smiled slightly, and said, "I've lived for a long time, and I always learn a little about everything, and understand a little bit about everything. The old man has already sold out such things as panacea, so naturally he has to change his career." Yang Kai said with a dark face, "Now you have changed your career to study seals. You know him?" Lan Xuan glanced at Yang Kai in amazement. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come. Mobile please visit. Chapter 2491. Yang Kai said in a deep voice. I've seen it a few times before. He has been active in Fenggalan City before. When the 5-color pagoda of your Star God Palace was opened last time, he was still selling a so-called 9-turn resurrection pill that can bring the dead back to life. He even tricked Shaoqi into getting some source crystals. There is such a thing. Everyone was shocked at that time. Lan Xuan said with an ugly expression, "Isn't this a liar?" Lan Xuan had never heard of the 9 turns resurrection pill, let alone resurrection from the dead. The elixir with this effect has always been the treasure of heaven and earth, and it is too late for me to hide it, so how can I sell it to others? Originally, the old man stood up confidently. Lan Xuan thought that he had encountered some strange person who was born in the world, and had a little hope, but hearing Yang Kai say this, his heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Judging from the old man's previous performance, he obviously has no real skills, and at the moment he is clearly talking nonsense, so what if he gets close to Mo Shaoqi? Liang Chu yelled angrily, "The old thing, get out of here quickly." In any case, he is a little bit responsible for Mo Shaoqi's current situation. Although the responsibility is not big, if something happens to Mo Shaoqi, Emperor Beastwu may not listen to his explanation, so when he saw that the old liar had already when he came not far from Mo Shaoqi, he hastily fired a shot at that side, trying to force the old liar back, lest he act recklessly to make Mo Shaoqi's situation worse. Mo Shaoqi is only breaking the seal now, and there is no harm to herself, but if someone does something to her body, she might die. Liangqiu would not dare to take such a risk. With one shot, the astonishing power exploded, seeming to be able to penetrate the void, ignoring the barrier of space, and blasted in front of the old liar in an instant. However, although Liangqiu's shot was shocking, it didn't have the slightest murderous intent. He didn't intend to kill the old liar, but just wanted to force him back. But in the face of a blow from an Emperor Senior Realm, the old liar remained calm, as if he hadn't noticed the danger at all. His narrowed eyes were full of light, and he stared straight at Mo Shaoqi. When the spear intent hit, he waved his hand lightly. It seems to drive away a mosquito casually, with a relaxed expression and free hand movements. An astonishing scene appeared. When the old liar waved his hand, the astonishing gun light was instantly annihilated, and the mighty power fluctuations rolled up by the gun were also instantly smoothed out. As if what Liangqiu attacked just now was not an old man at the 3rd level of Daoyuan, but an old man at the 3rd level of Emperor Zun, the old liar showed a masterful demeanor with his gestures which made people feel unfathomable. The sharp visual conflict stunned everyone, and they all stared at him blankly with wide-eyed eyes, beyond shock. Liangqiu couldn't believe his eyes even more. He was stunned for a moment and then rubbed his eyelids vigorously, trying to see more clearly. But there, the old man stood there intact, not even a wrinkle in his clothes. What the hell? Liangqiu exclaimed. While being shocked, he also received a huge blow deep in his heart, and somehow became disheartened. Previously, relying on his Emperor Senior Realm cultivation base, he wanted to teach Yang Kai a lesson, but was deflected by Yang Kai's punch. Now he wanted to force the old man back, but the other party dismissed the gunlight casually. If it hadn't happened to him, Liangqiu would never have believed that such a thing existed in the world. These days, are Daoyuan-level warriors so ostentatious? Can you defuse the attack of Emperor Senior Realm casually? If that's the case, then what are you all doing so desperately to be promoted to Emperor Zun? It's good to stay in Daoyuan for a lifetime. Or, is my Emperor Senior Realm fake? In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through Liangqiu's mind, and he no longer had the joy and high spirits he had when he broke through to Emperor Zun before, and his face was ashamed. Yang Kai was also shocked. Although he withstood Liangqiu's attack before, it is still undeniable that Liangqiu is powerful. If it is really a life-and-death battle, even if he can win, it will not be too easy. Shan's chief disciple, a genius among thousands of people. He had some idea of the power of that shot, and it was easy to deal with it. Although it would not be too difficult to resolve it, it would definitely not be as calm as the old liar. What's the matter with this old man? Could it be some strong man who hid his cultivation? But thinking about it carefully, it's unlikely, because when the 5-color pagoda of the Star God Palace was opened, only Void King Realm warriors could enter it. Since the old man was able to enter, it meant that he was indeed a Void King Realm at that time. Over the years, he was able to advance to the 3rd level of Daoyuan, and the speed was fast enough, and it was basically impossible to hide his cultivation. It's just, Yang Kai didn't understand how he resolved Liangqiu's blow at all. Not only Yang Kai didn't understand it, but everyone present didn't understand it, but the eye-shocking scene made everyone unable to calm down. But after doing this, no one would dare to underestimate this old liar. Even if he is really a liar, he can defuse a blow from Emperor Senior Realm with a wave of his hand. It also shows that he is a capable liar. Young people, don't be so impulsive. The old man is old and frail, and his energy is not as strong as you young people, but he can't stand any trouble. After defusing Liangqiu's blow, the old man said lightly. Liangqiu's face was darkened when he heard this, and he always felt that these words were mocking him for his incompetence. Senior, Lan Xuan looked at the old man, and shouted tremblingly, do you really have a way to solve the problem of little 7th sister? After witnessing the old liar's astonishing methods, Lan Xuan somewhat regained some confidence in him. In this world, there are always some strange people who hide in the wild and hide in the city. They usually look like nothing special, but when it comes to the critical moment it will bloom amazingly. Maybe, the old liar that Yang talked about is such a strange person. Excited, Lan Xuan changed his name to him. Although they are both in the 3rd level of Daoyuan, they called out seniors. Unexpectedly, the old man accepted it with peace of mind, smiled slightly, and said, you can give it a try. Lan Xuan's beautiful eyes lit up, and she exclaimed, Senior, do you know the rainbow seal of the burning moon flower? I heard from my father before that Master Wu Wu's method of sealing the magic butterfly is the rainbow seal of the burning moon flower, which is extremely mysterious and complicated. Incomparably, in the whole world, only the burning moon flower rainbow seal can seal the spirit of the Holy Spirit. The old man shook his head and said, the moon-burning flower rainbow seal is a secret that is not handed down by beasts and warriors, and the old man has no chance to see it. Lan Xuan's expression darkened, and he said, then what should we do? She thought that this senior knew the technique of the seal, but now she heard what he said, and she felt a chill in her heart. Emperor Mingyu told her personally that if he wanted to seal the spirit of the Holy Spirit, there was no other way but to burn the moonflower rainbow seal. Since this senior doesn't know the mysterious seal, how can he seal it? Thinking about it, the burning moonflower rainbow seal was originally created by Emperor Wu Wu. Even if his father asked him for advice, he would talk about him from left to right, and refused to reveal anything. This guy, Beast Wu, is very stingy. The words of Emperor Mingyu echoed in Lan Xuan's ears. This guy, Beast Wu, is strong, but he is naturally stingy. He doesn't even want to share the wine at home with his friends. How can he be willing to spread the moon-burning flower rainbow seal? But let the nearby Emperor Senior Realm hear clearly. With a crash, everyone fainted. Beast Martial Emperor is one of the top 10 emperors today, his cultivation is as high as the sky, and his status is transcendent. To the warriors in the entire star world, he is like a god. When his name is mentioned, no matter who he is, he will feel admiration and worship in his heart. Is almost a symbol of the supreme force of the star world, but in the mouth of this old man, he actually became this guy. This is too disrespectful to the emperor. Lan Xuan has a strange expression. Because these words are exactly the same as what her father said. The old man also seemed to realize that what he said just now was too shocking, so he quickly changed the subject and said, "This old man has no ability to reseal the spirit of the Holy Spirit." Ah! Yang Kai heard the words, his complexion sank, and he said angrily, "Since you have no ability, why do you act confidently? Isn't this deceiving Ben Xiao's feelings?" The old man grinned and said, "Although the old man doesn't have the ability, there are people who can." Who? Yang Kai frowned, and suddenly glanced around, his eyes finally fixed on Yao Si. If there is anyone here who can reseal the spirit of the Holy Spirit, then only the two children of the great emperor who have the same identity as Mo Shaoqi. Lan Xuan will definitely not be able to do it. Yao Si does not know if he has this ability. Seeing Yang Kai looking towards him, Yao Si said indifferently, "I know how to kill people, but saving people is not my strong point. Do you want to try it?" Yang Kai glared at him, then turned his head to look at the old man, and said, "Don't be a mother-in-law, hurry up and find that person to help." The old man laughed and said, "The young man is just impatient, don't worry, it will take some time before the seal is completely released. After all, it is the first time to release it, the spirit of the Holy Spirit needs to fuse with this little girl for a while before she can move freely." Quote. Seeing that Yang Kai's expression became more and more ugly, the old man finally stopped chattering, but raised his head, looked at a person with a serious expression, and beckoned, "That girl, come here and do me a favor." Following the direction he pointed, everyone turned their heads to look, only to see a young girl standing there with a pale face. Her body strength was fluctuating, and she didn't know what was wrong. Zhang Ruoxi. Yang Kai turned his head to look in amazement, his expression was extremely strange. He never thought that the person the old man was talking about was actually Zhang Ruoxi. Having said that, since Mo Shaoqi had such a change, Zhang Ruoxi's situation seems to be a little abnormal, but because the Holy Soul Seal is too important, Yang Kai didn't have time to investigate Zhang Ruoxi's situation carefully, so he secretly told Lu Yan took good care of it, and if there was anything wrong, let him know at any time. At this moment, the old man was clearly waving at Zhang Ruoxi, wanting her to come over and help. What does this old man mean? Yang Kai was completely confused. To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at Woai Xiao Hua Ti. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2492. Chapter 2492. Who is the Holy One? Zhang Ruoxi stayed for a long time before realizing that the old liar was calling her. She couldn't help but feel a little timid under the eyes of everyone, her face became paler, and the power fluctuations in her delicate body became more and more intense with the passage of time. The more ferocious. She turned her head and looked at Yang Kai with a questioning gaze. Yang Kai asked in a deep voice, "Old man, are you joking?" The old liar said solemnly, "Why would the old man joke about such a thing? Then tell me clearly, how Ruoxi can help you seal the spirit of the Holy Spirit." Not only Yang Kai has this doubt, everyone is like this. After all, Zhang Ruoxi looks inconspicuous, and her cultivation is only at the 3rd level of Daoyuan. With so many emperors present, the old liar will not be able to find her if he asks anyone for help. Never thought about it. The old liar shook his head when he heard the words, "You can't say it, you can't say it. If you believe me, let her come here. If you don't believe me, I can't help it." Yang Kai said sharply, "If you don't explain it, how can I believe it?" The old man spread his hands, and said, "Then it's nothing to do. When her seal is completely released, maybe after a while of killing in this sea of broken stars, the spirit of the Holy Spirit will fall asleep again, and then you can hope for good luck." Quote. Yang Kai's expression was ugly, the old man was pretending to be mysterious, but he couldn't do anything about it, it was really annoying. At this moment, Zhang Ruoxi suddenly said, "Sir, if I can calm down little sister Qi, I'm willing to try it." But your current situation, Yang Kai frowned. He didn't know what happened to Zhang Ruoxi. She seemed very disturbed, and the aura in her body became strange. Although the situation was not as serious as Mo Shaoqi, it was not optimistic. I'm fine. Zhang Ruoxi pursed her red lips and said, Sir, let me go. The old liar over there urged. If you hesitate any longer, once her seal is completely released, there will be no way to recover. And, I might as well tell you that the situation of the two female dolls is ultimately due to the chain reaction that solved the seal. One's problem, the other's problem will be solved. Yang Kai listened with a confused face, but the old liar's sincere expression still convinced him a little bit. He said in a deep voice, what harm will your method do to Ruoxi? There is no danger of life, the old man only needs to take a drop of her blood. Blood essence. Yang Kai was stunned, feeling more and more that the old liar was not talking nonsense, because Zhang Ruoxi had a strange blood power in his body, and Yang Kai had never figured out what the blood power was. The liar said that he wanted to take a drop of Zhang Ruoxi's blood, obviously because he knew that Zhang Ruoxi's bloodline was extraordinary, and there might be some strange effect hidden in that bloodline, which could help him seal the spirit of the Holy Spirit. How could he see this? Okay, I agree, Yang Kai replied in a deep voice, and flew over there with Zhang Ruoxi. After a while, the two came to the old liar together. The old man smiled at Zhang Ruoxi and said gently, little girl, relax, I won't hurt you or anything. Zhang Ruoxi nodded slightly, took a deep breath, and got ready. The old man suddenly glanced at Zhang Ruoxi again, and said in surprise, your clothes are not bad, where did you get them? As soon as these words came out, Yang Kai was shocked. Because Zhang Ruoxi was wearing a defensive imperial treasure, Feng Kai Shai, under her coat. The value of this defensive emperor treasure is extremely high, and its defense is astonishing. Zhang Ruoxi has been wearing it close to his body since he got it. When the old man said that her clothes were good, he definitely didn't mean the outer clothes, but the Feng Taixia clothes hidden inside. What is this old man doing? Can this also be seen? Yang Kai couldn't help but become alert. Zhang Ruoxi didn't have any precautions, but said indifferently, a friend gave it to me. Friend. The corner of the old man's mouth twitched obviously, and he said with a smile, if I see your friend again next time, help me to give him a good time, and say that I miss him very much. Zhang Ruoxi said pleasantly, Senior knows him. Long time no see. The old man replied kindly. The two chatted one by one, but Yang Kai's heart was turned upside down, his eyes widened, and he looked like he was seeing a ghost in daylight. He suddenly discovered that this old man was definitely not as naughty as he appeared on the surface, but rather unfathomable. Because Zhang Ruoxi got Feng Caixia clothes from the land of 4 seasons, and according to what she said, the one who gave her this emperor treasure was the ancient holy spirit Changqi. That Changqi seems to be the mount of Emperor Suiyu. After the death of Emperor Suiyu, Changqi has been sleeping in the land of 4 seasons until that time when the Temple of Time and Moon appeared. After that time, Changqi also left the land of 4 seasons. Where did you go at ease? Changqi is an ancient ferocious beast with a murderous nature. After coming out of the 4 seasons land, Gao Shueting and the others who were guarding the exit were shocked. Fortunately, Changqi had no intention of hurting others, otherwise Gao Shueting and the others would die undoubtedly. But now, what the old man meant was that he knew Changqi. How divine is this old man? Before Yang Kai felt that he was full of weirdness everywhere, but now it is even more foggy. Why does such a strange person only have the cultivation base of Daoyuan 3rd level? What's your name, senior? Zhang Ruoxi and the old man seemed to be having a good chat, and the restless and tense mood gradually relaxed. Yang Kai also quickly raised his ears and listened intently. The old man opened his mouth and spit out a few words. Yang Kai looked dazed, because he didn't hear what the old man was saying at all. Zhang Ruoxi nodded and said, Junior, remember, if I can meet him again, I will tell him, but I don't know where he went, since he gave me this clothes last time, he disappeared. While speaking, Zhang Ruoxi suddenly shook slightly and almost fell down. Fortunately, Yang Kai had quick eyes and quick hands, and he helped her up. Okay, the essence and blood have been taken, you can rest for a while. The old man said with a smile. It was only at this moment that Yang Kai noticed that there was a drop of bright red blood floating above the old man's finger. The blood was like a living thing, dancing on his fingertips, looking extremely unsteady, and the inside of the blood was even more strange. Yang Kai didn't know when he took the blood essence. The reason why Zhang Ruoxi swayed suddenly was obviously because she had hurt her vitality a little, But a drop of blood was not a serious problem, and she could recover after a few days of recuperation. After obtaining the blood essence, the old man's expression suddenly became extremely serious, the source of energy in his body fluctuated. Wrapped in the blood essence, he pointed at Mo Shaoqi's forehead, his movements were as fast as thunder. Chi. The spirit of the illusory heavenly butterfly suddenly became extremely disturbed, as if it had encountered a natural enemy. It kept flapping its wings, emitting bursts of illusion waves. Yang Kai suffered a big loss before, so he naturally knew how powerful this illusion is, and when he was about to retreat in a hurry, he found that the fluctuation of the illusion was completely blocked after encountering Zhang Ruoxi's blood essence, and there was no ripple at all. Without encountering any obstacles, the old man dotted the blood on Mo Shaoqi's forehead. The blood essence burst out all of a sudden, forming a dark red mark on Mo Shaoqi's forehead, and then invaded her body. With the disappearance of blood essence, Mo Shaoqi's aura quickly calmed down, and the magic butterfly was gradually sucked into Mo Shaoqi's body by an inexplicable suction force, and turned into a butterfly mark again, branding it on her cheek above. With a soft hum, Mo Shaoqi fell limply, his eyes closed tightly. Yang Kai stretched out his other hand, hurriedly held it, and looked around, only to see that Mo Shaoqi was breathing steadily. He should have passed out, and there was nothing serious about it. A shocking crisis came inexplicably, and it was resolved inexplicably, but everyone was frightened for a long time. After it was resolved, everyone realized that their backs were covered in cold sweat. "Sir, I'm so sleepy," Zhang Ruoxi said suddenly, followed in Mo Shaoqi's footsteps, and fell asleep directly. Boy is not bad, hugging left and right, enjoying the blessings of equal people. I really envy this old man. The old man looked at Yang Kai with a smile, and teased. Yang Kai had a black line on his face, and said, "Old man, you are so disrespectful, is it really okay?" The old man said, "I used to be young too, it's not a big deal." While speaking, he winked at Yang Kai for a while, making a fuss. Yang Kai said in a low voice, "Old man, don't speak dark words in front of real people. I misunderstood you before and thought you were a cheating liar. Now I know that old man is really real." "Ha ha." The old man smiled and said, "This old man is just better at deception than others, so don't worry about it." Yang Kai nodded and said, "Old man, since you can see that Ruoxi's blood essence can suppress the spirit of the Holy Spirit, you must know what kind of bloodline she has, can you tell me?" As soon as this remark came out, the old man's expression suddenly became serious, and after pondering for a moment, he said, "I can't tell you this. When she becomes stronger in the future, I will figure it out myself." But the old man has a piece of advice. "What?" "Invite her to do good. If she does evil, the star world will be chaotic," the old man said solemnly. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, "Is it so serious?" Looking at the sleeping Zhang Ruoxi, the old man ejaculated in his seemingly cloudy eyes, and said in a deep voice, "If she grows to the limit, the power she can unleash will be even more terrifying than Wukuang." "Wukuang? Which Wukuang?" Yang Kai asked with a frown. The old man paused and said in a concentrated voice, "Che. Tian. Da. Di. Gudong." Yang Kai couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and said in horror, "Old man, you actually know the name of the heaven-devouring emperor." If he hadn't heard the old man mention it, Yang Kai wouldn't even know what the name of the heaven-devouring emperor is. The word Tian devouring is just a title, not a taboo. The surname of the great heaven-swallowing emperor is Wu. But he never expected that he actually learned the name of the heaven-devouring emperor from this old man. "How did he know?" Yang Kai said with a difficult expression. "Old man, who are you?" Please go to read. Chapter 2493. This old man can see that Zhang Ruoxi's bloodline power is extraordinary. He even sealed the spirit of the Holy Spirit with blood essence, and he also knows Changqi fierce beasts, and he has clearly revealed the name of Emperor Devourer Tianju. Environment. Yang Kai couldn't possibly believe it. "Well, I can't tell you this either." Yang Kai got angry and said angrily, "Then what can you tell me?" The old man thought for a while, reached out and patted Yang Kai's shoulder, and said earnestly, "Cultivate hard, promote Emperor Senior as soon as possible, the future of the star world depends on you. Roll." The old man was not annoyed at all, just glanced at him with a smile, then turned around, with a solemn expression, and said loudly, "Everyone, if you can hear what the old man said, please leave this place quickly, it is dangerous here, stay here again if you do, your life will be in danger." Liang Chu said with a smile, You old guy is really interesting, I will naturally understand whether it is dangerous or not, why do you need to remind me? Previously, the power of his shot was easily dispelled by the old man, so he also knew that although this old guy only had the 3rd level of Daoyuan, his strength was unfathomable, so he didn't dare to underestimate him at all. Speaking, he had already fired a shot. Seeing that you seem to be very knowledgeable, why don't you tell us which emperor left this skeleton? Liangqiu changed the subject and brought up the skeleton hidden in the black hole. Because of the sudden release of the seal of Mo Shaoqi's holy soul earlier, everyone's attention was attracted, and they were frightened, and no one was in the mood to pay attention to the emperor's skeleton in the space ring. But now that the crisis of the holy soul seal has been lifted, everyone's attention has naturally shifted to the space ring again. Liangqiu's words undoubtedly hit the point. Everyone looked at the old man curiously, expecting him to give an explanation. The old man looked serious, and said, "No matter what the emperor left behind, it is not important now. The battle between the emperors was fierce and the sun and the moon were dark. Except for a few things left behind, the rest all the secret treasures have been beaten to pieces, there can't be any good things in the space ring, so don't worry about it." "I believe you when you say it." Liang Chu snorted coldly. "I believe it." Lan Xuan suddenly stood up and shouted coquettishly. Liangqiu glanced at her, and pouted for a while. Lan Xuan is the daughter of Emperor Mingyu, so if he stood up to support the old man at this time, he wouldn't be able to sing the opposite. Lan Xuan said, "Senior, what is the danger here? If it is convenient, can you tell us?" The old man frowned and said, "Your life is at stake, Miss Lan, it's important to get your people out of here as soon as possible." Lan Xuan heard the words, pondered for a moment, nodded and said, "Since the senior said so, the junior will leave first, senior take care." While speaking, she looked at Yang Kai. Seeing his indifferent face, she didn't try to persuade him, but looked at the warriors who were watching from a distance, and said coquettishly, "Senior brothers and sisters from the southern region, if you believe me, Xuan, get out of here quickly." After she finished speaking, she immediately drove towards the distance. Although Xiao Chen was a little unwilling, but as a qualified flower protector, he would not leave Lan Xuan's side, so he also left. As soon as she left, among those martial artists who were watching from a distance, many elites from the southern region sacrificed their secret treasures and left one after another. It can be seen that the appeal of the Star God Palace in the southern region is still very large, and no one can achieve such an effect. Thousands of people were reduced by hundreds at once. Sha Sheng, Xiao Bai and Marong Xiaoxiao whispered to each other for a while. They seemed to feel that the old man was not playing tricks, so he secretly sent a sound transmission to Yang Kai, and then left quickly. If Sha Sheng was the only one, he might not have left, after all, he was also an emperor senior realm. But Xiao Bai and Marong Xiaoxiao were with him at the moment, he always had to consider their safety, he didn't dare to joke about their lives. "Yao Si, you go too." The old man turned his head, looked in the direction of Yao Si, and shouted lightly. Yao Si raised his brows, and said indifferently, "I can be where my young love is, no one can order me." As the emperor's son, he was naturally extremely proud. Although the old man had acted a little shocking before, it was too early to order him. Hearing the words, the old man sighed, and suddenly waved his hand. A stream of light shot towards Yao Si, as fast as lightning. Yao Si's face changed, and he hurriedly urged his own Emperor Yuan, and at the same time retreated quickly, trying to avoid the blow. But what shocked him was that the streamer was so fast that he couldn't avoid it at all, and even his bodyguard, Emperor Yuan, didn't help at all. The streamer blasted directly on him. Yao Si couldn't help but took several steps back, his face turned pale for a while. "Old man, how dare you sneak up and hurt someone?" Liang Chu was furious and startled. The anger is that this old guy is too shameless, there is no warning before the attack, and the shock is that even Yao Si can't resist his sneak attack, this level of strength is too terrifying. Red Ghost, Impermanence and many other emperors also had ugly expressions. They were promoted to Emperor Zun in this sea of broken stars, and they thought that from now on, the star world would be free for me to roam freely, but before they even left the sea of broken stars, they were hit by an old man one after another. He can sneak up on Yao Si casually, wouldn't it be easy to sneak up on himself and others? In the future, if you encounter Daoyuan realm, you can't underestimate it, otherwise you won't even know how to die. Over there, Liangqiu was furious, and he had already sacrificed his long spear, as if he wanted to fight the old man to the death. Earlier, Yao Si said that he was his friend, which moved Liangqiu very much. Now that Yao Si is in trouble, he will naturally not stand by and watch. Before he could make a move, Yao Si suddenly stretched out his hand, stopped in front of him, and said heavily, "I'm fine, don't be impulsive." Liang Chu turned his head and looked at Yao Si in astonishment. Yao Si, however, looked solemn, and looked down at his palm inexplicably. The next moment, his body shook, and he looked at the old man in horror, and exclaimed, "You are..." The old man raised his finger and hissed softly on his lips. Yao Si understood, quickly swallowed the following words back, and solemnly clasped his fists and said, "Yao Si didn't know the heights of the sky and the earth before, and his words were meaningless. Please don't be so fussy with the younger generation." As soon as he said that, the audience was in an uproar, and everyone looked at him in disbelief, beyond shock. Yao Si is the son of Emperor Yuhun, with extraordinary aptitude, and now he is in the emperor state. It can be said that in this entire star world, except for a few people who can make him bow his head, no one else is stronger than him. Might make him say something like that. But now when he faced this old man, his demeanor and tone were respectful, and even a little humble. A son of a great emperor, who behaved humbly in front of an old man in the Daoyuan third layer, and claimed to be a junior, what is the situation? But in this way, everyone understood that the old man's previous attack was not a sneak attack, but a message to Yao Si, and it was through this message that Yao Si knew his identity, so he changed. So respectful. The old man chuckled, and said, "It's a helpless move, Mr. Yao Si doesn't mind if the old man acts recklessly." Yao Si said in a deep voice, "Senior, it's serious." The old man nodded and said, "Okay, you can take them away now." Yao Si said, "The younger generation must obey the orders of the adults." While speaking, he glanced up and said lightly, "If you don't want to die, just follow me." Liangqiu said unwillingly, "Do you really want to leave? There is still one." Before he finished speaking, he found that Yao Si was staring at him with a pair of icy eyes. The coldness in those eyes was piercing, without the slightest emotion, which made Liangqiu couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat. Then he twitched the corner of his mouth and said, "Let's go." Yao Si withdrew his gaze, flickered his figure, and galloped into the distance. Although Kai Gui and the others were full of suspicion, they had no choice but to follow. If he stayed here at this time, he would lose face to Yao Si, and the Han palace where Kai Gui was located was also in the eastern region, so if he offended Yao Si, there would definitely be nothing good to eat in the future. After a while, many Emperor Senior realms almost left completely. Impermanence thought a lot, and finally left. After all, even the descendants of the two great emperors, Lan Xuan and Yao Si, were persuaded to leave by this old man, and judging from Yao Si's reaction, this old man might be something extraordinary. For a person like him, there's no need to scare him. If he stays, his life may be in danger. Not only did the Emperor Senior realm leave completely, but a large part of the remaining Daoyuan realm also left. In the blink of an eye, those who stayed on the spot and waited and watched, there were only less than 1,000 Daoyuan realms left. It is estimated that these Daoyuan realms did not get much benefit in the Sea of Broken Stars, so despite the old man's earnest temptations, he said however, they still couldn't let them go. The Emperor's skeleton and the space ring in the black hole are the things that attract them the most. "Aren't you going?" The old man couldn't help frowning when he saw Yang Kai still standing still. Yang Kai said in a deep voice, "Tell me first, what is the condition of Ruoxi's blood, and I will leave immediately." The old man said, "In the future, we will see it. If you don't tell me, I will follow you." Yang Kai looked like a rascal. The old man looked him up and down, grinned and said, "You are really thick-skinned, why did Wen Zishan accept a disciple like you?" Yang Kai's face changed slightly, and he said, "How do you know that I am from Qingyang Temple?" He came here, but never revealed this information from the beginning to the end. The old man chuckled and pointed to a certain position on his body. Yang Kai suddenly realized that it was the Qingyang gold token that he kept close to him that leaked this secret. Earlier, for the convenience of sensing the messages from Xiao Bai, Murong Xiaoxiao and the others, he took the Qingyang golden token out of the space ring and kept it close to him. Unexpectedly, even such a small detail would be noticed by the old man. The old man shook his head and said, "It's true that the upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. If this old man meets Wen Zishan another day, he will definitely drive you out of the gate." To be continued. Dian Hanji provided. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 2494 Black Hole. Phone reading. The old man spoke loudly, as if Wen Zishan listened to his orders. Yang Kai snorted. You seem to be the emperor of the world of mortals. Wen Zishan, Palace Master Wen seems to be brought up by Emperor Hongqian. If there is anyone in this world who can order him at will, it is undoubtedly only Emperor Hongqian. There is no trace, no fixed place, no one knows where he is, and there has been no news of him in the star world for a long time. The old man's eyes widened all of a sudden, and he said in surprise, you know that too. Yang Kai said contemptuously, if you say you are fat, you are still out of breath. This old liar might really be some kind of strange person, he can know so many secrets, know so many people, and even make Yao Si respect him, he is definitely not an ordinary person. But if he was said to be the great emperor of the red dust, Yang Kai would never believe it. Without him, because this is the Sea of Broken Stars. Broken Star Sea can only be entered by warriors of the Tao Source realm, and there is no way to enter the Emperor Venerable realm. With the astonishing cultivation of the Emperor Hongqian, it is impossible to come here. Steady, then crashed. The old man smiled slightly, ignored Yang Kai, but turned his head to look at the remaining Daoyuan realm warriors, sighed lightly, and said, man dies for money, and birds die for food. The reason why these people still stay here is obviously to reap some benefits, especially now that the Emperor's senior realm has gone clean, leaving them without many powerful competitors, and their emotions have become a little excited and eager to try. After pondering for a while, the old man said loudly, you stayed here only because you want to get the space ring. If that's the case, then the old man will fulfill your wish. When everyone heard this, they all looked at him suspiciously, not sure what the old guy meant. At this moment, the old man suddenly walked like flying, and came directly to the front of the black hole. He didn't know what kind of magical seal he had pinched, and a ray of light shone from one hand, and he directly poked towards the black hole. What is this old guy doing? Couldn't he be trying to take out that space ring? He has such a skill. Hiss. Look quickly, his hand really went in. What's going on inside? Wow, the light is so dazzling, I can't see clearly what's going on inside. There was a burst of noisy noise, and everyone's eyes widened, watching the old man's movements. Yang Kai was particularly shocked. After the black hole took shape, he clearly felt a wave of space power. In other words, there was another strange space inside the black hole, but this space was extremely unstable. Even a person like him who is proficient in space power dare not break in at will. Never thought that this old man could reach into that space. He is also proficient in space power. Under Yang Kai's feeling, he didn't notice any fluctuations in the power of space, and after looking carefully for a while, Yang Kai's expression suddenly became strange. After a while, the old man suddenly let out a low cry and pulled his hand away abruptly. When the light fades away, on his hand was an extra simple space ring. Everyone was in an uproar, staring at the ring with fiery eyes. The sound of swallowing saliva came and went. And looking around, there was nothing on the finger of the skeleton in the black hole. He really took out the ring. Can this kind of thing be done? It's amazing, what's in that ring? Old guy, quickly hand over the space ring, and I can walk around you and not die. After the old man took out the space ring, the crowd suddenly boiled. While yelling, each of them silently stimulated the origin force, looking like they were ready to rush over and snatch it at any time. Yang Kai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said, old man, you've played too much, let me see how you end up. Although he is very strong now, but in the face of thousands of Daoyuan people, he still felt a little guilty. If so many people rushed forward together, he would only have to escape. Although the old man was a little unfathomable, Yang Kai didn't think he could defeat 1,000 with one. The old man smiled slightly and said, they only have this ring in their eyes, if that's the case, then give it to them. To them, Yang Kai was stunned. Before he could react, the old man had already waved his hand, threw the interspatial ring somewhere in the void, and said in a low voice, if you want it, grab it yourself. I don't know what kind of trick the old man used, the space ring exploded with a ray of light, flying towards the distance with the momentum of thunder. The old guy is dying to throw away the ring. You wait for this young master to grab the space ring and then come to settle accounts with you. What are you talking about? Hurry up and chase after it, you will save 500 years of cultivation if you get this space ring. Swipe. Rays of light bloomed, all warriors turned into streamers, and chased towards the direction where the space ring was thrown. In the blink of an eye, not a single one of the thousands of people was left, and they all disappeared. The old man looked at the backs of those people, and said, I knew this method would work so well, why did the old man spend so much effort? He looked annoyed, turned his head, looked at Yang Kai and said, don't you go after him, kid. That's the great emperor's space ring. There are countless emperor treasures in it, and there are all kinds of panacea. If you can get it, you will be promoted to Emperor Venerable just around the corner. His tone was full of bewitching meaning, obviously telling Yang Kai to leave here too. Yang Kai sneered and said, Old man, you also said before that in the battle between the emperors, except for a few things, everything was left, and the others were beaten to pieces. There is nothing good in the ring, why should I go after it? After a pause, he smiled treacherously, and said, What's more, the space ring is still here, the one that flew out is just a fake, what am I going to do after it? The old man stared at Yang Kai and said, How did you see it? It should be impossible for you to see through this old man's trick. Yang Kai nodded and said, The old man's blindfold is really superb, but, you haven't even reached into the black hole, how can you take out the ring? What's more, the skeleton and the ring seem to be close in front of us, but they are actually far away from us. How can it be obtained by stretching out one hand? What seems to be in front of you is just an illusion caused by the superposition of space. The old man was surprised and said, You have a good eye, then you are still here because you want that ring. Yang Kai Dao. I just want to know what's going on with Ruoxi's bloodline power. I really can't tell you this, you will understand in the future. For some reason, the old man kept silent when Zhang Ruoxi's blood power was mentioned. The old man is about to go to work. You should leave this place quickly. It's really dangerous here, it doesn't matter if you die or not, but the two girls in your arms can't make any mistakes. Working, what are you doing? Yang Kai was stunned upon hearing this. The old man had already rushed straight towards the black hole, his expression was solemn, and he didn't know if it was Yang Kai's illusion, but he could see a trace of determination and sadness in the old man's eyes, and even a little bit of life and death. The meaning of disregarding. When he got to the black hole, he quickly sealed his hands and slapped the black hole. A layer of ripples passed in front of the black hole, as if an invisible door was opened, and the old man passed through the door and rushed into the black hole. After the ripples passed, the figure of the old man disappeared, and the skeleton also disappeared strangely. Looking around, only a black hole remained in place. A different kind of power fluctuation came from the black hole, and this power fluctuation made Yang Kai somewhat familiar. Yang Kai's heart moved, and he quickly took out a jade slip from the space ring. This jade slip was snatched from Wu Mengchuan by Dharma Body when he killed Wu Mengchuan earlier. According to Dharma Body, Wu Mengchuan seemed to want to destroy this jade slip before he died, and he didn't know what secret was hidden in it. There is a mysterious restriction on the jade slip. Yang Kai tried to break it before, but he couldn't get in. At this moment, Yang Kai was surprised to find that the power fluctuations transmitted from the black hole were exactly the same as the aura on the jade slip, and seemed to be left by the same person. And the moment he took out the jade slip burst out with light. Immediately afterwards, all the restraints on the jade slip were automatically opened, forming a strange resonance with the power fluctuations in the black hole. An extremely powerful suction force suddenly came out from the black hole, trying to swallow him in. Yang Kai was shocked, his face changed wildly and he wanted to leave this place. But what surprised him was that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move an inch. At this moment, the black hole is like an open animal mouth, trying to swallow him in one gulp. After only holding on for a few breaths, Yang Kai was powerless. Just before being swallowed, he waved the unconscious Zhang Ruoxi and Mo Shaoqi into the mysterious small world, and at the same time took Lu Yan into it. After finishing this, Yang Kai's eyes went dark, and his whole body seemed to fall into a bottomless abyss, falling continuously. There was no light around him, and there was no end to his feet. I don't know how long it took. Yang Kai suddenly felt a pain all over his body, and he felt like he was stepping on something. With the sound of hitting the ground, he found himself falling into an inexplicable world. In this world, there is no sun, moon and stars, and even the aura of heaven and earth is extremely thin, but the whole world presents a strange red color. As far as the eye can see, the ground under the feet has dark red blood flowing past. The blood is extremely fresh and exudes a strong bloody smell, like thousands of streams flowing into the sea, slowly converging in a certain direction. In the surrounding land, countless broken limbs and remains can be seen, the flesh and blood are rolled up, which is extremely terrifying. These are. Yang Kai looked around for a while, his face changed, and he whispered, warrior who died in the original sea. The blood and broken limbs he saw were obviously left by warriors who had just died, because all the broken limbs and corpses were very fresh and showed no signs of decay. It's all been swallowed here. Yang Kai looked ugly, a little inconceivable. To be continued. Chapter 2495 The World of Mortals Reunites. In the original sea before, countless fighters fought for the power of the original source, and I don't know how many people fell. Those dead warriors all fell into the original source sea and disappeared. But I didn't want to, and they were all swallowed here in the end. The jade slip no longer exists. When it was swallowed here before, Yang Kai felt that the jade slip in his hand suddenly burst open, turning into a strange energy lingering around his side, as if protecting him. Own. After I entered this place, that energy also disappeared at the same time. From this point of view, the role of the jade slip is to guarantee entry into this place. If it wasn't for the jade slip, Yang Kai didn't know what would happen if he was swallowed here. Before Wu Mingchuan died, he desperately wanted to destroy the jade slips. He obviously didn't want the jade slips to fall into the hands of others, so as not to enter this place. What secrets are hidden here? Why did the old man enter here? Yang Kai's expression was incredulous, but he looked around but found nothing. Even if he let go of his spiritual mind, he couldn't detect the old man's aura. After pondering for a moment, his eyes shifted to the bloody water on the ground, and he drove towards the direction where the bloody water gathered. No matter where it is and what secrets it hides, the direction in which the blood flows is probably the root cause. This weird world seems to be very big. Yang Kai walked for more than an hour, and the surrounding scenery did not change at all. If he hadn't had extraordinary perseverance, he would have thought he was still standing still. An hour later, Yang Kai suddenly changed his expression and looked up in a certain direction. He heard some crackling sounds from there, and looking around, there were still some faint rays of light blooming, and occasionally some powerful power fluctuations were transmitted from there. Someone is fighting over there. Yang Kai's eyes narrowed, revealing a look of surprise, because he had only seen the old man enter here. If there were really people fighting over there, one of them must be the old guy, and who is the other? Judging from the fluctuation of that power, the strength of the person he was fighting with seems to be extremely good. Yang Kai doesn't know what the old man's ability is, but what is certain is that the General Emperor Senior Stage is definitely not his opponent. A person who can fight with him in full swing, is he an idle person? There are still strong people in this ghost place. Yang Kai felt more and more confused, and out of curiosity, he couldn't help speeding up, galloping there, and at the same time cast the void secret technique to hide his own aura. The closer you get to that side, the more obvious the aftermath of the battle will be. After burning a stick of incense, Yang Kai hid behind a small hill, and looked forward with his head poking his head. What he saw made his face change wildly, and he was shocked. The old man was indeed there at the moment, standing in the void. His clothes were loose, his black hair was flying, and there was a sense of indifference and vicissitudes in his back, a real detachment and indifference. Not far in front of him, the skeleton that he saw through the black hole before was sitting cross-legged, but it was different from what he saw before. Some flesh and blood grew on the bones of the skeleton, and the flesh was bright red, absorbing the surroundings and flowing over. The bloody water kept wriggling and breathing. The blood of the whole world seemed to be gathering towards the skeleton. At this moment, there is not much flesh and blood on the skeleton. It seems that it has just begun to grow, and the bones have not been completely covered, but this makes the skeleton look even more terrifying. The skeletal hand pinched a mysterious mark, and the astonishing devouring power came from Bai Sensen's bones, continuously devouring the surrounding blood. And every time the old man would launch an extremely ferocious attack, blocking the flow of blood, so that the bones could not be swallowed. The aftermath of the powerful attack hit the skeleton, but it remained motionless. I don't know how long this situation lasted. The old man swayed his strength tirelessly, and the blood that gathered in large swaths was evaporated and dispersed. It's just that there is too much blood in this world. Even if the old man keeps stopping it, more blood will still gather from all directions, trying to pour into the bones. Yang Kai resisted the shock in his heart, his face turned slightly pale. Because he actually felt a breath of life from the bones, although it was very faint, like a candle that could be extinguished at any time in the wind and rain, but it was indeed vital. In other words, the skeleton was actually alive. No one has made it clear which great emperor this skeleton is, but according to the various clues Yang Kai got, it is guessed that he is probably the skeleton of the heaven-devouring great emperor. It was rumored that Emperor Tianchu was beaten to death in the battle of the emperors tens of thousands of years ago, and he was so dead that he could not die anymore, but now it seems that this rumor is wrong. If this skeleton really belonged to Emperor Tianju, it means that Emperor Tianchu was not dead, but just fell into some kind of deep sleep, and the blood that gathered here might be the opportunity for him to wake up again. Yang Kai suddenly remembered that during the life and death battle with Wu Mengchuan said something that made him very concerned. He said, how could someone like the ancestors die so easily? From this point of view, Wu Mengchuan seems to know some inside information. After all, he is a descendant of Emperor Tianchu, so it is not too strange to know that his ancestor is still alive. He even knew that his ancestors were hiding here, and prepared to use the jade slips to enter this place when the time was ripe, but unfortunately he was killed by Yang Kai in the end, and he wanted to destroy the jade slips before he died. Various thoughts flashed through Yang Kai's mind, and it was almost certain that the skeleton was the Heaven Devourer Great Emperor. If the blood from this place really gathered and allowed him to regenerate his body, then the Heaven Devourer Great Emperor might be resurrected again. In order to kill him back then, 4 great emperors lost their lives here. If the Heaven-Devouring Great Emperor was resurrected, the Star Realm would be in jeopardy. Thinking of this, Yang Kai broke out in a cold sweat. At this moment, there was a strange aura rippling over there. It was very weak at first, but as time passed, it gradually became stronger, like a sleeping dragon slowly waking up. The old man standing in the void obviously also noticed this breath. His expression became solemn, and the movements of his hands suddenly accelerated a lot, and all kinds of unimaginable but powerful secret techniques bloomed from his hands, rumbling towards the skeleton. Beat the past. In an instant, the place where the bones were located shattered, and the void seemed to be collapsing. The old man squinted his eyes and looked forward, and it took a while before he snorted coldly. When the dust settled, there was a wall of bloody light over there at some point. It was extremely thick, and the wall was covered with dense cracks, blocking it in front of the bones. It seemed that the attack just now was completely blocked by this wall of bloody light, did not hurt the skeleton at all. A sharp gaze suddenly shot from behind the wall of blood and light, as if it came across from ancient times, making the world icy cold. You're awake. The old man curled his lips in displeasure. The skeleton stared at a pair of unformed eyes, and there were bright will-o'-the-wisps beating in the eye sockets. After looking at the old man for a while, he opened and closed his teeth, and a creepy voice suddenly sounded, Duan Hongchen. The old man laughed loudly, and said unrestrainedly, yes, it is the old man, Wu Kuang. It's rare that you still remember the old man after sleeping for so many years. Skeletal voice said, how can I forget your cheap face? It's really unlucky, the first thing I saw when I woke up was you. Duan Hongchen smiled slightly and said, are you disappointed? Then who do you want to see? Tell me, the old man can disguise himself as him. You also know that the old man's disguise is unparalleled in the world. The bones were indifferent, and they were silent for a while before saying, how long have you been sleeping? Duan Hongchen looked serious, and said, it has been for tens of thousands of years, but I don't remember how long. Skeleton sighed and said, it looks like it's been a long time. This person chatted like an old friend who hadn't seen him for many years, and there was no tension at all. Yang Kai, who was hiding on a small hill in the distance, set off a storm in his heart. The old man called the skeleton Wu Kuang, which meant that he was indeed the Heaven Devourer Great Emperor. The Heaven Devourer Emperor actually did not die, but cast a magical secret technique, sleeping in this strange space for tens of thousands of years, only waiting for the moment of resurrection. If this news spreads out, I'm afraid that the entire star world will be boiled. What shocked Yang Kai even more was the old man's name. Duan Hongchen. Yang Kai has never heard of this name, but he has heard of another title. The Emperor of the Red Dust. The Heaven Devourer Great Emperor Wu Kuang knew the old man, which meant that the two were people of the same period and status, and the only one who could match the name Duan Hongchen was the Great Emperor. Is he really the Emperor of the Red Dust? Yang Kai was so shocked that he could barely breathe. The old man said that the next time he saw Wen Zishan, he would ask Palace Master Wen to drive Yang Kai out of the gate, and Yang Kai even teased him. I never thought that this ridicule would come true. If it is said that the old man is the great Emperor Hongchen, it is somewhat possible, because it is rumored that the great Emperor Hongchen has always been unrestrained, playing with Hongchen, and the old man's behavior styles that Yang Kai knows are consistent with him. The reason why Yao Si left obediently and even showed a humble look was probably because he knew his identity. But what's the matter with this cultivation base? The strength of Emperor Hongqian is as high as the sky, how could it be possible that he only has the 3rd level of Daoyuan? This question is not only puzzled by Yang Kai, but also by Wu Kuang. How did your cultivation base drop so much? The old man killed himself. Duan Hongqian smiled slightly, not caring. Self-cultivation. Wu Kuang's eyes burst into light, and he said in a deep voice, "Are you willing to do this? I can't bear to let the child not be caught by the wolf." Wu Kuang seemed to understand something, and said, "Could it be that you cut yourself off and entered this place just to find me?" Duan Hongqian nodded and said, "Naturally, you may not know that after you die, the interface barrier here becomes a little fragile, and the Emperor's senior realm cannot enter this place. If you want to come in, you can only do so." To be continued. This text is provided by the Breaking Dawn Update group at Cha Shang Meng Wei. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is the author's greatest motivation. Chapter 2496 The Great Emperor's Controversy. A strong man breaks his wrist. Wu Kuang stared blankly at Duan Hongqian. "You are amazing. Among the emperors back then, I admired you the most. You really did not disappoint me." Duan Hongqian laughed loudly, and said, "For each other, you are also the most admired by this old man." Wu Kuang sighed. "It's been so many years, it's hard for you to maintain the Daoyuan realm cultivation base." "You're wrong about that." Duan Hongqian raised a finger and slowly shook it, and said in a concentrated voice, "I didn't deliberately maintain any cultivation, I just chopped off my cultivation countless times." "Countless times?" Wu Kuang exclaimed in amazement, really shocked. "You can practice again every time. Didn't your foundation be damaged?" Duan Hongqian said indifferently, "Tuofu, although it was indeed quite dangerous a few times, I survived anyway. I remember one time when I missed and wiped out all my cultivation in one fell swoop. It took me 2,000 years to finally get through it. After recultivating, the old man's life during those 2,000 years was not satisfactory." As if recalling that incident, Duan Hongqian also had a faint look of fear on his face. Wu Kuang murmured with dull eyes, "Is it really worth it for you to do this?" Duan Hongqian looked solemn, and said in a low voice, "It's worth it. As long as I can enter the Sea of Broken Stars to find you, and kill you, everything is worth it." Wu Kuang's eyes flickered, and he said in a deep voice, "It seems that you hate me." Duan Hongqian smiled slightly, and said, "I don't have any hatred for you, old man. Everyone has their own ambitions, and they don't agree with each other. It's just that Qinglian, Yuanding, Yanwu, and Kanghai are all dead. If you don't die, it's a bit too outrageous. So you avenge those old friends." Wu Kuang nodded with a look of understanding. Duan Hongqian sighed softly, and said, "When is it time to repay the grievance? The old man also thinks it is quite troublesome. Why don't you resist obediently and let the old man send you to meet those old friends?" Wu Kuang snorted coldly and said, "I was almost knocked out of my wits by you and others back then. If it wasn't for the critical moment to escape by feigning death, how could there be a moment of waking up today? I think everything is perfect. How do you know that I am still alive?" Quote. Duan Hongqian said solemnly, "Your methods are really good. At that time, almost everyone was deceived by you, thinking that you were indeed dead. But have you forgotten that there is such a person who can see through the secrets, see through the past, and see the future? It was he who told the old man that you should not be dead, so let the old man be more careful." Wu Kuang's eyes flashed wildly, and he said fiercely, "Tianshu." Duan Hongqian nodded and said, "That's right, it's Tianshu. So every time the Sea of Broken Stars opens, the old man will come in and take a look. Tens of thousands of years have passed, and everything is fine. I never thought that this time you finally couldn't hold back lonely, ready to make a comeback. It's not that I can't hold back my loneliness, it's just that the time has come." Wu Kuang snorted coldly, "I can discern the secrets of heaven and see the future of the past, and this seat can also see it. If Tianshu can see it, this seat can too. What the master can't see, this seat can also. Since this seat chooses to wake up at this time, naturally I won't make the same mistakes again." Duan Hongqian said in a deep voice, "That depends on how much ability you have back then." Wu Kuang laughed loudly, "So what if it's only 1% of what it was back then? With your current state, how can you stop me?" 1%, Wu Kuang has also learned to speak big words. "Your body is not formed yet. I am afraid that you can't even display 1% of your strength. I don't need to fight with you, I just need to block the blood. It can prevent your resurrection. Duan Hongchen, you really want to make me your enemy? Wu Kuang shouted angrily. Duan Hongchen said in a concentrated voice, you are the enemy of the world and the common people. If you are reborn, the star world will be in chaos. Your world of mortals is a good game, and you have learned to care about the common people. Duan Hongchen, if you dare to stop me, today this place will be your burial place. Since the old man came in, I'm not going to get out alive. Duan Hongchen looked determined, and suddenly a seal appeared in his hand, and he shouted loudly, break. In an instant, the aura of his body climbed to the limit, and there was no sign of stopping, and he continued to climb up. Bang! A layer of air waves visible to the naked eye erupted centered on Emperor Hongchen's body, sweeping all directions, causing the blood to roll non-stop. The degree of a boundary. This breakthrough was like piercing a layer of window paper. It was so simple and unbelievable that even the baptism of the energy of heaven and earth did not appear, it was just a blink of an eye. Okay, the higher your cultivation level, the more useful you will be to me if you devour it later. Wu Kuang saw Duan Hongchen break through before the battle, and instead of being surprised, he was overjoyed. Come, wrap Duan Hongchen in it all at once. The surrounding blood seemed to be drawn by some kind of force, and frantically gathered towards Wu Kuang's skeleton. Heaven-devouring domain. Yang Kai, who was watching from a distance, immediately recognized that this was the heaven-devouring domain. He used this trick when fighting Wu Mengchuan before. In the heaven-devouring domain, everything is devoured, even the mysterious laws and artistic conceptions cannot be spared, and the heaven-devouring domain displayed by Wu Kuang is not Wumeng at all. What Chuan can hope for is that it really has the aura of devouring the world, but just looking at it makes people feel small. Duan Hongchen was suddenly wrapped in the heaven-devouring domain, his aura suddenly became shorter, his face changed wildly, he clasped his hands together, and slapped forward suddenly, whispering, the world of mortals is 10,000 feet tall, 3,000 trebles. The huge imprint was shot down, and before the attack arrived, the bloody water had already set off a huge chalk wave. Wu Kuang's eyes shrank, and he said in a deep voice, not bad, it's a bit like the old days, but it's impossible to beat me, the sky-eating tactics, swallow it for me. After the words fell, the skeleton seemed to become a bottomless pit, not only swallowing up the surrounding blood and water, even Duan Hongchen's secret technique was also affected by the swallowing, and he sucked it into his body to his heart's content. Wu Kuang laughed out loud, with a hint of disdain in his laughter. Duan Hongchen's face remained calm, and he tried his best to mobilize Di Yuan, maintaining his own secret technique and fighting against him. A moment later, Wu Kuang's body shook, and the blood rushing towards his bones stopped suddenly. Not only that, the regenerated flesh and blood fell to the ground and turned into a puddle of sewage. He said angrily, old man, you actually cheated. Duan Hongchen said with a chuckle, keep swallowing, why not? Isn't your heaven-devouring method claim to be able to devour everything in the world? Why stop? Wu Kuang said angrily, what kind of artistic conception is hidden in your secret technique, that you can secretly hurt me? It is simply unforgivable. Duan Hongchen snorted coldly, do you think that this old man has killed himself countless times over the past tens of thousands of years, just to enter the sea of broken stars to find you? Since this old man is honored as Hongchen, he naturally wants to struggle in the world of mortals and understand the truth of the world of mortals. Li, this old man is no longer the old man. The power of the world of mortals, the mighty power of the heavens and the earth. Wu Kuang's eyes flashed, as if he had some insight, he said fiercely, you have actually felt a little bit of the mighty power of the heavens and the earth. No wonder you are so confident. Wu Kuang, you will surely die this time, so don't resist. It's a joke, there is no one who can kill me in this world. I am the sky and this earth. Anyone who resists me is against the will of the heaven and the earth, and all laws cannot be tolerated. Duan Hongchen shook his head and said, Wu Gang, you are sleepy, all living beings are ants under the heaven and earth, how dare you compare yourself with the heaven and the earth, the heaven will not allow you. I am a heaven devourer, the heavens do not have the capacity to accommodate me. Of these two great emperors, one has no physical form, and the other has cut off his cultivation, neither of them are at their peak state, but in this weird world, they are fighting for life and death, without holding back at all, when the energy is surging, it is even more so. The sword is spoken, and the world trembles. That sentence sounds ordinary, but it seems to contain extremely deep truths, triggering the texture of heaven, and passing it to Yang Kai's ears over there, which made his mind tremble violently, and the energy in his body was tumbling. This is the Tao. This is the way of heaven that countless warriors have been pursuing but cannot touch. The two great emperors are secretly fighting with their own Tao, trying to dominate each other. In this kind of battle, whoever has a more determined heart to ask questions and a deeper understanding of the Tao of heaven will undoubtedly gain the upper hand. Yang Kai was immersed in it all at once, and after savoring it carefully, he only felt that what each of these two people said was very reasonable. It was just a word of wisdom, and his good words benefited him a lot. Suddenly, Yang Kai's heart moved, and a look of surprise appeared on his face, as if he wanted to understand something. And the turbulent energy in his body also reached its peak at this moment. Yang Kai was startled, and suddenly recovered from the realization. His face was ugly and he whispered, "Oops." He didn't expect that he would feel the opportunity to break through at this moment. It has been almost 3 years since he entered the Sea of Broken Stars. Recently, he has seen many newly promoted Emperor Senior Realm, and he has also fought against many people. Although he is confident that his strength is not inferior to any newly promoted Emperor Senior Realm, he is still only Daoyuan Realm after all. If the realm is not reached, you will never be able to claim the title of Emperor. He has also been looking for opportunities to make a breakthrough, but it is a pity that there is no rush for this kind of thing. When the opportunity comes, it will happen naturally. But at this time, this opportunity suddenly came to Yang Kai. If it is in other places, Yang Kai must be ecstatic. He has long been mentally prepared to be promoted to Emperor Senior Realm, and there are signs of transforming his source power into Emperor Yuan. It is only a matter of time for him to be promoted to Emperor Senior Realm. But, not far from here, there are two great emperors who are fighting for life and death. How can he be promoted with peace of mind? If it is affected by the aftermath of the battle between the two, the consequences will be disastrous. I wanted to suppress it, but found that I couldn't suppress it at all, and the feeling of breakthrough became stronger and stronger. If I suppressed it forcibly, my foundation might be completely destroyed and my cultivation base would be lost. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update Group at CH8296929 Dian Hanji. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation.